Hey guys, welcome to Paul Revere Radio, the first broadcast of the year. Quite honestly, I didn't get a lot of time this week. I was here, there, everywhere. But one thing that I did notice, and I'm sure you guys saw this, was the ship that most of the media says was just going down to Antarctica. Didn't know why. They just didn't report it. And come to find out, they went down there because they didn't believe the ice was there. They thought it was, it was a global warming expedition, and they got stuck in non-existent ice.
Non-existent ice?
Yeah. Well, they didn't think it was there. They just go down there thinking, oh, it's going to be like, the Bahamas or something. And lo and behold, in Antarctica, there's this thing called ice that I guess they didn't know was going to be there. So they get stuck, right?
They expect to see penguins sunbathing.
This is because of the prediction from Al Gore, right?
Yeah.
That
So
the caps would melt by 2013.
Yeah, so they go down there, they get stuck in the ice, and nobody wants to admit that they were going down there to prove there was no ice. Okay, now that's just hilarious to me. But then there's icing on the cake here, because they send in a rescue ship with a helicopter. They go out there where they think is a safe distance away. They send the helicopter in. Helicopter comes back with all the crew. They go to leave, and now the rescue ship is stuck in the ice.
That's amazing.
Well, maybe we can get Al Gore to jet in on his private plane and take care of this whole global warming thing and get these people out of there.
It seems to me that the best course of action here, since our cars heat up the earth so much, maybe we should all get in our big SUVs, fire it up, hit the gas, put out as much carbon dioxide as we possibly can, and maybe, just maybe, we can melt these poor bastards free.
I think that's a possibility.
Or we could get on the internet that Al invented and find some other solutions, but one way or the other, we've got to, free those poor scientists down there. And then maybe as a punishment for their studies, we could send them to Wisconsin where it's just as cold.
That's where I'm from.
I know, right? Well,
actually, I grew up in northern Minnesota, and if you want to take a look right now, actually, it's supposed to be minus 70 degrees in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And
good God, why does anyone live there?
Yeah, well, I lived up in northern Minnesota for 10 years, and I always said, it was the Arctic. I would say, a lot of us didn't really go outside all too often. But I got to tell you that the only time they ever closed down schools is if it was 40 below. If it was like 25, 30 below zero, you're walking to school. And see, for me, for example, I lived 1 block off a 2-mile radius from school. And so the school bus would be a block away picking up kids. I couldn't walk a block up to catch the bus. I actually had to take the city bus or I had to walk to school. And I'm talking 30, 40, sometimes 50 below zero. And it was brutal. I mean, these kids, we close school if we have a frost advisory. But up there, I mean, it's like, they're tough.
Do they actually close schools for a frost advisory here?
I don't know.
I don't remember ever. That would be awesome, though.
I don't know, but we're all.
I'm sitting back into school, and snow day in Florida. That'd be great.
It's 57 degrees today. We're all sitting here in sweatshirts and long pants.
Myself included.
Yeah.
And everyone tells me I've gotten weak.
Well,
all my friends up north, I post those little gag memes that they have on Facebook, and they're like, you've gotten weak. Gosh, you're cold and 60 degrees. But they're like minus 50, minus 60 degrees. So that's like a 120-degree difference. They say it's actually warmer on the surface of Mars right now than it is in northern Minnesota.
Well, let's send some of the global warming advocates to Mars and let them colonize.
That might work.
How about we just send them all there? I think they could do more good there.
Oh, wait,
wait,
I forgot, though. It's not global warming anymore, right?
It's climate change
because they knew global warming didn't work. So
did you see the MSNBC bit where they're now very upset? They're very, very upset with conservatives and libertarians and those of us who know that it's a hoax.
Because they loved us so much before.
Well,
right?
no. They're complaining about weather trolling now. How everybody's saying that now that it's cold, global warming's been proven wrong. And
I don't understand why they
say,
this is they said this is the first time it's been record cold up there in 20 years. This hasn't happened in 20 years. I beg to differ because I remember when it was like 60 below zero 10 years ago or even, 8 years ago. living up there, I mean, we saw it all the time. And then we'd watch the television and go, gosh, those people in New Jersey and New York are weak because they say, oh, gosh, it's 6 degrees.
Hey, but let me ask you, though.
That's a warm front for us.
If it's minus 20 or
Up
it's
there.
minus 60, can you tell a difference up
Not
there?
really,
Yeah.
no.
All right.
No.
No,
You
other
just don't
than
go outside. And that's why we have the reputation of handling beer. You know, we're heavy drinkers up in Wisconsin.
because you've got nothing else to do.
Exactly. What we do for fun is that we put a car on a lake, and then we all take like a raffle, and we try to figure out when will the car break through the ice. And so, like, there's a pool of money.
Living life on the edge.
Yeah. I mean, that's our entertainment for the
That
year.
and ice fishing, right? I
And
mean,
it
it's-
gradually kind of goes
Yeah.
into the ice and then eventually plummets into the water. But, you know, that day when it happens, that person who voted on that day gets that lump sum of money.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
And we would have
nice.
festivals on the lake, too. We would have, you know, I told this story many times before, but minnow eating contests, tug of war on ice.
So, in other words, what you're saying is your brains froze
I would
solid.
say, yeah. Since I've been down here, I think I've thought out, but...
just in the last 6 months, probably. And you've been here, what,
Maybe.
6 years now?
6 years, yeah.
Well, you know, eventually you'll completely thaw out and join me over with the thinking people.
Oh, good
good
God.
grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown.
So, anyway, speaking of cold, I was in Naples last night, and I had to ride back on the motorcycle at midnight.
The most southern city, really, in the whole country, and it was cold.
No, Everglades City's further than
Oh,
that.
no.
Miami's further than that. Key West is way further.
Why do you think
south
I
than that.
moved to southern Florida to get away from
Well,
the cold?
but let me just tell you,
Go ahead.
it was, I guess, high 40s, but at 60 miles an hour,
Yeah.
it's freaking cold.
I
don't
love,
care where
I love
you're
the
from.
I love the chat room comment though. I've always called climate change the seasons. Yeah, that's that's pretty much right.
Yeah, that's about it. But anyway, no, I went down to Naples last night to hang out with, quite honestly, some of the coolest people around. Give a shout out to Jared Graffoni and his show Resistance Radio down there in Naples. But I was actually supposed to call in this morning and talk to his guest. He wanted me to call in, but I was so busy setting up our new equipment that I didn't get a chance to. But wanted to give them a shout out. And really, guys, we've got to take a page out of their book. Even the Republicans, they're actually doing something. The Republican Party, the Libertarian Party, every party here in Lee County is
All Republicans are doing stuff?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm saying the Republicans aren't doing anything.
Oh, well,
I'm saying here in Lee
You're
County.
saying I don't do anything?
Let me finish
Okay, go
before
ahead.
you get
That's
offended.
usually his
Quit
line.
getting butthurt. Quit getting butthurt. Okay, so
I'm offended.
well then maybe I am talking about you. So anyway, down in Collier County, there's something going on with a seawall, and I'm sure most people in Lee County don't know about it. I probably only know about it because I'm talking to them. But one of their communities down there has a private seawall that's falling apart, and they've petitioned the county to pay for the seawall and then put a special tax on the community, the HOA, to pay for it over a 20-year period. Now, obviously, there's a constitutional problem there because the state constitution doesn't allow for this. So the Libertarian Party down there is petitioning for, to do away with it because they've already passed it. They're going to do it at this point. They're trying to overthrow that. So I was wondering what you guys would think about that. Again, private. There is no public access whatsoever to this seawall. And I know I'm kind of hitting you out of nowhere, but we just talked about it last night. I didn't have a chance to discuss it with you. So no access to the public. Okay, private seawall, taxpayer money with a special tax.
We do things here differently
paid off
in
20
Cape
years.
Coral, don't we?
Well,
I mean, you would know.
I mean, as a realtor, who deals a lot with condos, if we have a condo roof issue or a condo building needs painted, or if there were some issue with roads within a private condo community, we would assess the owners,
Mhm.
not go to the government. So I'm not sure how this is any different and why they should be asking for help from the
How
government.
it's different is that they're asking the taxpayers.
Yeah,
to pay
they're
for it.
asking.
Oh, I
They're
understand,
asking
but I'm
for a
my
20-year loan and it's a $4 million project.
right. So my
Wow.
and how many houses in the community? I mean, it doesn't matter, but
No,
yes.
I'm not sure. Quite honestly, I don't remember the name of the community at this point. The important parts to me were the fact that this is completely illegal. It's not allowed under the Florida Constitution. I don't think it's allowed anywhere in the country, but
Lately, the government really hasn't been doing things legal anyway.
And that's my point.
Local,
and this
state, and federal.
this sets a very dangerous precedent.
Right.
It really does, because even though it's just a Naples issue, well, Collier County issue.
Right.
You know, if this happens, we all know that the judges don't rule on the Constitution. They don't rule on law anymore. They rule on
Feelings.
precedent.
They rule on
Yeah,
feelings.
well, they
that's
rule
true.
on precedent. Well, if we did it in the past, it must be okay.
Right.
So if this is allowed to happen, then it's going to happen over and over and over again, and then people like you and I are going to get stuck footing the bill for things that we have no business paying for because we can't use.
You know, we see special assessments all the time in areas where there's a public good. Cape Coral, for example, on utility expansion. But this seems like a total private issue. If it's as you described it, I don't see any reasoning for the government to be involved at all.
Quite honestly, I would like to see, and we discussed this last night too, I would like to see an audit of the association and see where their money's coming from, or where their money's going, rather.
Well, if we're funding, if the taxpayers are funding it, then that should be an open book. But
Right.
it should
Well,
be,
and
shouldn't even matter because we shouldn't be funding.
Exactly.
It, right?
We don't. There's no reason for us to fund it. We can't fund it by law. But I would like to see. I'd like to see them call for an audit, because quite honestly, as we discussed last night, I think if you open up the books, you know, for public review, I think rather than letting that happen, this would go away.
Now, you said this was voted on.
It was
already
voted
and
on by the
passed?
commission. Yeah.
By the commission. Do you know what the vote was?
Yeah. It was unanimous except for one. So.
Huh.
One,
Who was the
I
smart
don't
one
remember.
who voted
I don't
no?
remember the name. I'm not up on Collier County's commission board,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But
Oh, you could have made up a name. I don't
Yeah,
know the
well,
commission in Colorado.
again, I just talked to them about this last night. I mean, I'd heard a little bit about it, but we really talked in depth about it last night. And what happened was that one commissioner actually went not to the Republican Party, not to the Democrats, but to the Libertarian Party, because he knew
they do
that-
something, right?
Because they were the only ones that he
Stand
knew
up.
would stand up against it.
That's
Right.
awesome.
So, you know, I really want to give them props for that.
Yeah, and you know, maybe if someone's listening who is in Collier County can tell us who the commissioner is that voted no, that'd be great. If not, maybe we can have it next week and give them a shout out.
Yeah, I know Jared and Elsa were going to try to listen today, but unfortunately have a problem with the Ustream app on their phone, and they're driving. So maybe they'll get in here later, and we can find out what those names are, because I completely forget. But I know you had some topics that you wanted to talk about. Here later on, guys, we're going to have Councilman Richard Leone is going to call in with a big surprise for Cape Coral.
Nice.
We've got a small victory on the way, so let's.
Usually, when we put the word surprise and Cape Coral together, that's not a good thing. But this time it is.
Absolutely, this time it is. We're going to shift that, I hope. So, what was some of the topics that you wanted to bring up? Let's kind of cover the ground here, get an idea where we're going to go.
Yeah,
and
you know, I thought it'd
cover
be a nice time to talk about. You know, last week as the last show of the year, we talked about a little bit of a recap of 2013 and a look ahead to 2014.
Mm-hmm.
What we didn't talk about was what's happening in 2014 immediately, and a lot of things happen on January 1st. We have a new
Yes.
year, and we have a lot of new taxes, a lot of new regulations, and
a lot of new things
laws,
that,
all that take effect.
And
on
the debt
first
ceiling's
of the year.
approaching too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but the other thing that always gets me about January 1st, same thing with Christmas Eve. While we're all celebrating and, you know, having fun, Congress is in there passing things so that we don't see it.
Well, they've passed them, and they take effect January 1st.
No,
because
they-
Congress is not in session. On
No,
January
but
1st.
no, not on January 1st. They weren't this year, but
then
it
I
does
also
happen.
But then I
And
also
then-
heard too, on the state of Florida, they passed 40,000 new laws.
No.
Or is that
no,
it?
no. Nationwide, 40,000
Oh, it's
new laws
nationwide.
took
Took effect, yeah.
January 1st.
Oh,
Yep.
800 in California. They led the way, and go figure. You know, who would have guessed that the liberal state of California would have led the way on new laws? But there were some really good ones, and some that were such vital laws to our nation, such as Illinois banning minors from using indoor tanning booths.
Yeah, because again, parrots can't do it.
Right.
The state has to be mommy and daddy.
Exactly. And also pet owners in Illinois will be able to return lemon pets.
Lemon
pets.
Explain this.
It's like the lemon law you'd have with a car.
So if you get a dog and he poops on your car, but you take it back.
You get a dog, he's not quite right. You can take him back, and
wow.
The seller has to reimburse you for not just the purchase of the dog or pet.
What's next?
But
Warranties?
also the cost of caring for their health.
Could I get a warrant on that pet?
A warrant? What do you want, a search warrant?
Yeah, no, I meant like a warranty.
Are they being detained?
Warranty?
Are they being detained? Come on.
Yeah.
None of your business. Am I being detained?
The puppy looked at me wrong. I have to return it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, what's the next one?
You've got Arkansas and Virginia who passed some voting laws. Florida did as well. But Arkansas and Virginia, Arkansas residents will be required to show photo ID when they go to vote.
Oh, what a novel idea.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
Is that constitutional?
And Virginia, you'll be able to register online to vote for the first time.
Ooh, I don't see
do you guys think of that?
any
Wow.
problems
What do you
there.
think of that?
None at all.
No, I trust the internet. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of like I read it on the internet. It's got to be true,
I think
right?
we should have the NSA monitor us on our internet usage so that I'm being sarcastic. People don't call in.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
And that kind of reminds me of that the fact that Rand Paul is now suing the federal government over the NSA spying on citizens.
Yeah, that's
and,
a great thing.
I can't. Why nobody else has done that is just beyond belief.
I think there's an intimidation factor is the problem. Everybody's afraid of it because, well, if they know everything about me, then they can, which is true, they can make stuff up. They could do whatever they want with that information.
Right.
And they can make me go away, especially now with indefinite detention, So I think there's a big fear factor. And what we really got to
Fear
understand.
of big government?
Fear of big government, fear of the individual disappearing into the system. And honestly, we've got to get to the place where we realize that, if enough of us stand up, they can't disappear us all.
Much, right.
So.
But we're not done. But wait, there's more.
Oh, boy.
But wait, there's more.
There's always more.
In Oregon, mothers will soon be allowed to take their placentas home from the hospital after childbirth.
Okay, wait a minute.
That's a law.
What?
Yes.
What?
Why?
Are they going to cook it for dinner? I mean, what's going on here? Why do you need to take?
I
Cook it for
don't
dinner.
know, and I don't want to know.
I'm baffled here. There so many women that wanted to keep their
Say it.
placenta.
I think he's having a hard time saying that word.
I'm baffled. Why would so many women want to keep that they have to pass a law over it?
I don't know. Is it so many? Maybe it's just 2, but maybe they just petitioned their government and they said, "Oh, okay.
Wait a minute.
You should,
let me
you should
just
have
say,
the right
in
to
the
do
last
that."
200 years we've existed. Why do we have to always pass a bill to cover just about everything? Why don't we have government now, statewide or national, where they want to go in there and say, let's eliminate a lot of these ridiculous
Well,
laws.
and hey, as the article says here, and if that placenta-carrying mother happens to spy on her way home an adult smoking in his car with a child in the back seat, she can call the police because it'll soon be illegal for adult Oregonians to smoke in their cars if there's a child passenger.
Wow.
Well, that's not the first state to do that.
That's not the first state to do that.
But
Right.
of course, it's. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Is this giving you faith in our country right now?
Oh,
Is
my
this in
God.
California?
No, we'll get to California.
Oh.
No, we're not
I thought that was in
we're not even to California yet, and
I
we're
won't-
already to the point
I promise
where
I won't go
even
through all 800.
I'm almost
Do
speechless.
you have any bills that were passed in Florida? I'm just kind of curious. Listed there.
I don't, but we passed some stuff in Florida related to election law that would
Just some
allow up
housekeeping
to
stuff?
14 days of early voting.
Oh my
Uh,
God!
Yeah, I
really?
see.
That-
Where I
that being
come
the big
from, there was
election
one
change
day for an
here.
election day. One day.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
And if you were old and you can't get to you can't get to your precinct, then
You had
there was the
absentee
absentee.
voting.
Exactly.
but here's the problem: you've got to have a very large span of time where people can go in there and vote, because how else are they supposed to vote that often?
See, we come from
Early
from
and
wait.
often.
Exactly.
We come from an area it's 40 below zero, and we
And
still
everybody
managed
voted on one day.
Exactly, and we still managed to get to, your voting precinct, and you make your vote. And we only did it for one day. We don't need 2 weeks.
And here's the problem. So the vast majority of the time, when you've got early voting, it's all in one precinct in one location. Everybody goes in there. That's the easiest way to throw an election right there on the local level. Okay, is you just go to that one precinct. You can mess with the ballots right there. Nobody pays attention to it, and it throws off the entire election. So, sorry, there's my 2 cents about that. Go ahead.
Well, let's go to California, shall we?
Oh, boy.
And we're only going to cover, I think, one in California. California schools will soon be required to allow students to play the sports they feel are most consistent with his or her gender identity. Meaning students can sign up for whatever sport they want to play regardless of their sex at birth. The rule extends to bathroom use as well.
Wow.
What could go wrong there?
Yeah.
This is a good way for guys to pretend that they are somebody else by going into the women's locker room and saying, I'm one of you. And then you're just checking them
there
out.
could be some 6'3", 300-pounders playing girls softball that could just dominate, well, or maybe not, but...
Why don't they just open it up and not have, might as well just have women and men in the same locker room?
I think
that's probably where
if
it's
that's
headed.
your gender identity,
But
then you can, I guess.
Here's the problem.
No, I think
you've
he's
got
right.
schools
It's heading that direction.
Yeah, you've got schools now pushing homosexuality openly to kids as young as third grade.
God, yeah.
Okay, I would be pissed off if they were pushing heterosexuality. Give me a break. That's pedophilia.
Right.
Well, schools should be educating. They shouldn't even be dealing with issues
Exactly.
of the reading.
But they're not
writing.
They're not there to educate. They're
math.
there to indoctrinate.
Yeah.
True.
Well, we need to get back.
Well,
to,
when you
to
were in,
s-
when you
school
were
vouchers.
when
I,
you
I
were
say
a
it
kid,
every show. School vouchers.
I mean, both of you could probably attest. When you were a kid, when did you start learning about all this stuff? I mean, we were pretty young. I mean, talking about sex in class.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like the first
we only
or
talked
second
about
grade.
sex in class amongst ourselves.
No, we
There
were like
wasn't
we
a
had the
teacher
anatomy
involved.
up on the
Yeah.
screen,
Oh,
and then
anatomy,
we had like
that's different.
no, not
Yeah.
just anatomy, but we were talking about details of sex.
Of course, back when Chris was in school, they were riding a dinosaur to school.
Oh
as a
no,
bus.
that was rocking, chipping away at the stone, right?
Yeah. That
Yes,
was
that's right. We were all, and then we'd go home and call each
They had
other on
the-
our rotary phones or use smoke signals.
Yeah.
Either way.
and their
signal.
notebooks were the first iPad made of granite. Instead of a
Paper notebooks.
paper note. Well, I still have paper note. He still uses it.
That's right. That's right. I'd use it.
It's still
Exactly.
it's still
This is it.
useful. Yeah.
Yeah, very useful. Don't break my battery. How else am I going to get through this with you
Oh
two
my God.
jokers? I need my nicotine.
Aren't those outlawed yet?
It won't be long. It won't be long. Didn't New
Our,
York
produ-
just,
wait,
yeah,
our
New York
producers
just-
is
Are those
like
even
the-
taxed
Our
anyway?
producer's little
No.
bong thing here is
Bong
is the size of a beer can. It's huge over there.
What?
yeah, Dustin, go get on there. Get on your mic there. You remember how to do that. You also got to do it on the board.
Which one's that? Is that 1, 2, 3, 4?
It's the one that's turned up but muted all the way to the left.
This one?
Or the right, or the left. There you go. No, over. There you go. This is Dustin's first time in the studio, guys. He's helping us out while Kara's out of town.
Kara's been on vacation for like 2
Yeah.
months, hasn't she? Has she come
No, this
back?
is only the second
She
show.
moved.
She should be
I
back
was just
next
gonna
week.
say, okay.
She should be back
That's
next
what,
week.
How many months?
So I just want to I want to thank Dustin for going in over his head here and probably is confused as hell with all that equipment over there. But thanks for helping us out, bro.
I live to serve.
That's
Dustin out.
wow.
That's Dustin.
Dustin, can you give Kara some lessons on brevity over
Yeah.
there? That's good.
Man a few words, right?
When he's got a microphone in front of him, until he gets a few drinks in him. He came over and we shot the promo for the OpSafe winter event that we did a few weeks ago. And to get that little 5-minute clip, I think it took us 3 hours.
Wow.
That's why I released the second one with the short clips of bloopers. And quite honestly, those were all I could use. You're not supposed to be playing sound on your computer there,
Oh,
buddy.
is that me?
That's you.
Oh, good thing nothing else came up. Good Lord. All right, I think we're good now.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Good. What would be in your history that you would be afraid of?
I meant Christmas music. I know how you like Christmas music. That was.
Maybe I'm going to have to call up the NSA and take a look at your browsing
They already
history.
know.
That's what I'm saying. And maybe I can get that information a little bit.
I don't know.
You know, that might be fun.
It would be. That could be a whole show, probably.
Going through Christmas.
So, shifting gears.
So
here.
Delaware, let's keep going here on this. Yeah, we got to get to Colorado eventually because I know we all want to talk about Colorado, but in Delaware, just in case you were, going to have some shark fin soup in Delaware, that's not
shark fin soup.
Yeah, it's not allowed anymore.
I didn't even know it existed.
New law will prohibit the
isn't
sale of distribution, trade, and possession of shark fins. So.
Well, shark fins are like an ancient Chinese remedy type thing, so that's where it comes from. But
yep, not in Delaware. Done. You're done.
You're not allowed. Really?
Yep.
Because Delaware has such a vibrant fishing industry in it anyway, right?
Does that even?
I mean, all 12
They're
of them.
a coastal state.
Yeah,
does that
there's
exist
like
in
12
Florida?
people that live here.
Shark fin soup in Florida?
I don't know. I don't think
know.
so. It doesn't exactly sound appetizing to me.
No.
And I'll eat just about anything.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta always try something once.
I've never got the opportunity. I might, but then again, I mean, it depends. There's no real meat there, and the skin is just. You ever smelled shark skin?
No.
Yeah, you don't want to eat it. You don't want to eat it.
There should
Dustin's over there looking at me like I've got 4 heads.
There should be a law. There should be a law.
There should be a law for that.
Colorado is the big one, though, guys. I'm sure you want to talk about this.
Oh, yes.
Coloradans over 21 will now, and this has been in the news, of course, since the first several times. They'll finally be able to purchase an ounce of marijuana for recreational use from select retailers around the state.
I thought it was only supposed to be for medical use.
No.
No,
Colorado has said recreational use.
Colorado's fully decriminalized.
So you can go buy some weed, hit the slopes over
Why
there,
why
run
go
into
to
a tree.
Amsterdam
Go
now?
for
You
it.
can just go right
Exactly.
to Colorado. Yeah.
Exactly. They fully decriminalized. I mean, I don't think you're allowed to have more than an ounce on you, though, are you?
Yeah, it's an ounce. They
Yeah.
said, yeah.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to sell it without a
How do they know
license.
if they get pulled over and they go, okay, let me search your car, and they find a bag of weed in Colorado, and they go, oh, I don't know, that looks a little bit more than an ounce, so we're going to have to charge you for that. I mean, really?
I might be saying more than I should here on the air, but if you've ever smoked weed, you can tell pretty damn close what an ounce is, okay? So, anyway.
Are you saying that you inhaled?
I admitted to that, 2 weeks ago?
He can do that now because he's a libertarian.
Oh, that's right.
He's
free to say what he wants now.
Well, to a point.
To a point.
To a point. I don't want to. I don't want to give you guys too much butthurt.
What else have you done, Matt? What else have you done?
I have a Fifth Amendment.
Isn't it like
I plead the Fifth.
Are you being
Isn't it-
detained?
wait.
Are you being detained, Matt?
isn't it a gateway drug?
Oh, and me and my friends never saw it that way. I mean,
No.
it wasn't even addictive. I mean, I kind of treated it like a beer. You come home and
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't see the big deal in it. I mean, I know there's always going to be people that do stupid things. Personally, I don't even care for it anymore. I haven't smoked it in years. I never really did smoke a lot of it. But every once in a while, and like I said, it was like a beer. You come home, you relax, and that's it.
And the heroin needle went in much easier after a few puffs.
Well, I'll admit something. I did tour, and I did get to. Huh?
He's
I
not
missed
even
that.
listening to you.
No, I spaced that out.
Oh my God.
Anyway, no, I got to indulge and have fun in Amsterdam about 6 years ago, and it was probably the best time of my life.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's get back to those laws.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about that too much. He's afraid of it. So, anyway, though, I would like to bring this up just about Colorado.
Yeah.
I know this is a big debate all around the country, but simple question, and this is what I've been screaming for years. If the federal government had to pass a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol during Prohibition, and then another constitutional amendment to reverse the decision, how in the world do they have the authority to ban whatever they want now without a constitutional amendment? What's the difference between drugs and alcohol when it comes to the law and them being able to
No,
ban
I
it?
agree with that. Alcohol it can be
Yeah,
an
you make a good
addictive
point.
drug. I mean, it's a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the problem is you were asking earlier why we have to pass a law for everything. It's because we've turned the Constitution on its head. We've decided that Now, instead of the Constitution telling us what the government's allowed to do and holding it to that, no, now the Constitution and the statutes and everything tell us what we're allowed to do, and unless they pass a law saying you're allowed to do it, you're not. And it's crap. It's completely backwards. You have the right to do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt someone else.
That's
the
why
law
I think
is
that's
irrelevant.
why
You know,
that's why
I
I think
think you
that's why I think that in Colorado they're kind of going the Constitution way and saying, listen, we're overregulated, we're over lawed, and we've got all these things on the books that are not necessary. You know what? The young people go, they want their weed.
No, and I think you
was
make
it.
a good point about the Constitution, and that's it's not something you can really argue with.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, if you want to ban it, fine, but let's do it correctly. Let's pass a Constitution, which will never fly.
Right.
Nobody's going to vote for that.
Right.
Well, nobody outside of Washington, and luckily it takes more than those jackasses to change the
So
Constitution.
let's move
So-
it. Let's move it to Florida. What's going to happen here?
I don't know.
It's coming up maybe on
That's
the ballot. I guess.
How many
know,
more
there's
weeks do
been
they
some-
have to get those petitions?
Just less than a month.
Yeah, it
Um,
comes up in early
and
February.
how close
I
are
think.
they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Maybe next week I'll see if I can get them back on to talk about it. I got a few people I could get on about it, but I don't know. I'm leery to say they're going to get it. I think they're having a hard time. But the problem is, I don't think that people aren't willing to sign it. They're getting plenty of that. The problem is finding places to sign people up. Businesses are so afraid to be seen as okay with marijuana that they won't let them set up shop there. Wherever they are allowed to set up shop, the word is that they just clean up on signatures. So, and the polls say that over 85% of Floridians are in favor of medical marijuana.
And then that goes into Charlie Crist running for governor.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
because you
I
got the
don't-
Morgan and Morgan he's been working for years. Morgan and Morgan, you hear on the radio all the time how they want to legalize marijuana.
Well,
or
yeah.
for medical use, which
But
of
you know
course,
what? Charlie-
eventually down the road, will
Charlie
make
Crist
it
is
legal.
only riding this because he thinks he can get elected. I mean,
Well, isn't that why Charlie Crist rides any position?
well,
That-
yeah, he can't. He
'cause
doesn't
he's
have
been
his
on the
own
side of
he
every
doesn't,
position.
He doesn't have his own stand on anything. We all know that.
Right.
He's a worthless politician, just like so many of the others.
But I guarantee you, young people will vote for him if he says, "I want to legalize marijuana," and they'll be like,
They won't. They
There will
won't
be a
even go to the
base right
polls.
there, not a majority. But there'll
Here's
be a base. of
here's what
voters.
Florida did something a couple of years, maybe not quite a decade ago, and increased the threshold for getting anything passed as a constitutional amendment to 60% instead of the simple majority that it was before. And it makes these kind of things difficult to get passed, as it should be. It's a constitutional amendment. The big straw, I think, that caused that change was a few years back we had a pregnant pig amendment, which is now in our state constitution, that gave some specific protections to pregnant pigs.
you got to explain
Doesn't-
this one.
does-
You got to explain this one. You got to.
It
Go
was
ahead.
it was an amendment that received enough signatures to get on the ballot, and it basically was in the wording in how it protected pregnant pigs in their treatment. Anyway, I don't have all the details pulled up, but the pregnant
So what you're
pig
saying
amendment-
is the pregnant pig won't get slaughtered.
if you Google
Yeah.
Google
So-
pregnant pig amendment Florida,
No,
and you'll
I know,
you'll get
I
it,
know
but
what it is. I've read it before, and it still baffles me.
that was the
that in
straw
Florida-
that caused this 60%
Yeah, in
threshold. to
Florida,
pass.
we're going
what about
to
the pregnant manatee? Sorry, go ahead. We don't use manatees for anything anyway, so
It tastes just like chicken. I mean,
I bet
They
you
say
they
the
would
sea
be
cow,
tasty,
you
but
know.
they're protected, so we can't do that.
you don't like manatees?
propeller cut, medium rare is the best one.
Propeller
Yeah.
cut? That's just wrong. I can't believe you just said that. Propeller cut.
Oh my lord!
Well, they are the sea cow, you know.
Oh God! Where is this show going?
Anyways,
Okay.
back to your pregnant pig.
There were some other states that passed minimum wage hikes. Florida being one of them, but it was Florida's minimum wage is tied to the CPI, and so it was an automatic increase. But some other states passed minimum wage increases up to 8 or 8.25, up to $8.70 in Connecticut. So those were some of the others. But just when you think the laws that were passed were bad enough, that doesn't even take into account the regulations that took effect.
Oh, we could
January
be talking about
1st.
regulations
now,
all day
we have
long.
laws, which are
Yeah.
things that were voted on
Yeah.
and passed by the people we elected.
Right.
But then we also have regulations, which are things that were proposed and put into effect by people we didn't elect.
Right. You know what really bothers me too is when you're talking about regulation, the Republicans who say they're against regulation or against big government,
Yeah.
and then they go and pass these regulations.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you
at
about the
record numbers.
federal regulations that took effect. On New Year's Day, 141 new regulations took effect, just at the federal level. And of these, 119 of them are rulemaking, which means they establish something new that regulates us. And the largest groups of regulations dealt with things that we shouldn't even deal with as a federal government. They came from the Department of Energy, Environmental Protection. Those departments had the bulk of these new regulations. So it really ties into, and they dealt with coal plants. A lot of it dealt with coal plants. This is the Democrats' war on coal. Which makes me wonder how anybody who lived in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, how anyone that lived in these states could vote for President Obama for re-election. West Virginia is the coal capital, and these people re-elected a president that was going to put them out of work. I guess they can collect now and get a free Obama phone and all that, but they voted to put themselves out of work.
I know quite a few people that are Obama supporters, and two of which actually not only are from West Virginia, but one was actually a coal miner, and yet they support Obama, and it baffles me. I don't
does that
understand.
happen?
I don't know
Because they don't pay attention, that's why.
Well, and I don't get it because they have to know about the coal bans. They have to. How could they not?
They take the sound bites, the hope and change, and they go with that, and that's all they go with.
Yeah, it comes back to the 30-second soundbite world we live in today.
Right.
God, I've given plenty of those lately, haven't I? So,
I'm going to give you a quote too, and this ties into the Democrats' war on the middle class. You know, they like to talk about our wars, Republicans' wars on women and on the poor and on the middle class. Well, here's the quote: if these regulations go into effect, American jobs will be lost. Electricity prices will soar. That's where we get to the war on middle class. Electricity prices will soar, and economic uncertainty will grow. We need the federal government to work as a partner, not an adversary, and to invest in America's energy future. So, jobs lost if these regulations go into effect. Energy prices
Chris,
soar,
Chris,
economic uncertainty. But guess who said it? The Democrat senator from West Virginia.
Right.
This is a Democrat.
I was going to say, how can they worry about jobs being lost when we've got, unemployment benefits?
Well, we got 99 weeks to,
No, I'm just saying that was always their answer for everything. I mean, let's just, take water from one side of the canoe and dump it onto the other side of the canoe. I mean, it's like, they don't really have any solutions.
Well, as
Rick,
Nancy Pelosi
don't
said,
you
that
know-
stimulates the economy.
yeah, that's what I was about to
That's what I
say.
was gonna say.
Unemployment
That's
stimulates
it's
the
the
economy. Come on now.
That's why I brought it up.
Get with the program. Aren't you a good little Keynesian? All right.
Hey, I had to take that class in college.
Did you really?
Yeah, Keynesian economics.
Oh my God.
Classical too.
Did they teach you anything about Austrian?
No, no, not at all. But
Of
I
course.
remember in economics class they always explained how it's normal for the economy to have dips and recessions. That's healthy for the system. I'm like, are you kidding me? But yet you have to take their BS. And when you're writing your essays or you're writing your assignments, you have to make sure that you talk their language. You have to be in the head of a liberal.
That's
you
a
have
scary
to be,
place.
You have to be one of them, and you have to believe what they say.
So in
Otherwise,
other words-
you get a D.
So in other words, you must make your decisions by how the rocks in your head roll around.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got to dumb yourself down, and it's easy up north because it's so cold. So anyway,
Just stick your head outside and freeze your brain a little more.
churn out that heat. I'm studying.
Wow. All right.
Anyway, continue.
Go Go ahead there,
I mean,
Chris.
no, so that's it. I think it's the war on, and I want to see Republicans use these terms and libertarians. The war on coal, the war on the middle class. These are the things that the Democrats are doing. The war on the middle class. I'd love to hear us talk more about that as it pertains to the Democrats killing jobs all over the country.
You know, this would be perfect if we had a soundboard with music. If we had, I know you say always the copyright, but remember that song, War, What's Good For?
Yeah, well, we'll get there eventually.
It'd be perfect about what he's talking
No
about.
karaoke. Today.
Yeah, we've got the equipment now. We're getting there. If you guys could see, we've got quite a bit more equipment now. We're getting there, and sooner or later we'll move into buying licenses.
Oh, you know
and
the
stuff.
Put it to
regulation.
soundbite or
The
put it to
regulation we
music.
didn't talk about is the light bulb.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
It's gone.
because
Wait.
Americans are too stupid to be able to choose what kind of light bulb they would rather use.
I want everyone.
The normal light bulb's gone, right? So
Uh-huh.
we have to use this
Well,
energy saving.
I haven't been able to buy a regular light bulb in a long time. These light bulbs that I've got in here, they're halogen because I couldn't get the old-fashioned Edison bulbs anymore, which I like because I think they give off better light. They're cheaper, and
the
things are
cleanup
crap.
if you break one is much easier.
oh yeah,
But
I'm
you
going
know-
to post on Paul Revere later today. Ted Poe, he's a congressman from Texas, Republican, and this was 2 years ago. He posted he gave a House floor speech about the end of the light bulb, and it's 5 minutes long. It's the best 5 minutes on the light bulb you'll ever watch, and I'll post it to the page later. But it goes through the several pages of EPA regulation for cleaning up a broken light bulb if you should break one of these new light bulbs. It covers the fact that all of them are made in China, none in the United States.
That's sad.
It's really good. It's kind of funny too in a sad kind of way, but I'll post it later when we're off air. I'll post
Since
it
you
to the
since you
show.
brought up Edison, I mean, I don't know. I was just going to mention that the state convention that we're going to have here because it's that whole thread of Edison's going to be involved in it. I mean, we're going to have a 3-day convention here in Fort Myers downtown in June. If anyone's looking to sponsor the event, it's a Young Republican
I was
event.
about to.
Yeah, it's the Florida Federated Young Republicans. They're hosting their state convention in Fort Myers. I pretty much worked out all the details as far as venues, but it's going to have the Edison, Firestone, and the Ford theme throughout the whole thing. And we've got a great venue to house not just speakers, but we're also going to have a big party. We're going to have a dinner and a lunch, and it's going to bring all the young Republicans across the state into the area. So it's a mandatory meeting because it's the annual convention. So it's going to bring hundreds and hundreds of people. So if you want to be a sponsor and get your name out there, let me know. But go ahead.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Like I said, y'all know that I came out as a libertarian last week, but I still support the Young Republicans and what they're doing. I don't shame anyone for trying to change it from the inside. I do question their logic at this point, but
What has
it's
this have to
okay.
do with you?
But I do. I'm telling the listeners that even I support what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm supporting you. Quit. He even gets butthurt when I'm supporting him.
Listen, I'm from the Midwest. We are a sensitive people.
I guess.
And Frozen.
And frozen. Just kidding.
So
Now, are you done with your soapbox?
I did. The butthurt is just emanating from this one. Okay, go ahead.
Gosh.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm done.
So you're done with the soapbox then?
I think so.
Okay.
You're not going to drop the mic out?
No, yeah, you're not
No,
going
I
to bang
can't
the
do
mic
that.
on the table.
That was 2 weeks ago. You still haven't gotten
Yeah,
over
no,
that.
I haven't. You don't abuse the equipment.
It was just, I tapped it. If anybody actually wants to go back and look at the archive.
Yeah, he
And
tapped
I
it.
tapped it. I didn't bang it. Oh, good grief.
Yeah, I gotta hassle you. Okay.
Let's talk about that pregnant pig again.
Oh my God. Do you have a thing for pigs or something?
I think the good thing now is that they're covered under Obamacare and can get birth control.
Planned Parenthood's involved, too?
I think they are.
Planned Parenthood?
Well, question though: why would a pregnant pig need birth control? Just
No,
throwing
we
it
don't
out
want
there.
All
birth
right,
control
screw
for
up-
pigs.
Screw up my joke. That's all right.
No, I was going to say, we don't want birth control for pigs. I mean, we want to eat, don't we? They have to reproduce.
Oh my God.
Is this a bacon show now?
Oh my God.
I love bacon. Go ahead.
I didn't want to go through all 40,000 regulations and laws, so we're not gonna. That was all I kind of had. Anything that hit you guys that came up as new regulation?
Yeah, I'll talk. I'll bring up the NDAA that just passed here while we were kind of.
What's the NAA stand for?
NDAA, National Defense Authorization
He's a Packers.
Act.
Wait, he's a Packers fan. There's no D. All right, sorry for football fans. Football fans got that, but
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I have a really hard time paying attention to football when there's so much going on in the world that actually matters.
You know what? Sometimes you just got to throw off that switch. You think too much. Just
I do.
Shut it off every once in a while.
I
and as a Giants fan, I couldn't
how.
agree more.
Yes.
I couldn't agree more.
Get away
Okay.
from politics every
So-
once in a while.
Oh, it's not all about politics. I mean,
what I'm saying.
It's not all about politics. I read a lot of things, okay? But
Oh, aren't we supposed to have Richard on?
I just announced that earlier. This guy is living on some other planet today. Richard will be calling in a little while.
Oh, okay.
To give
I just
an
got a
announcement.
message from Lisa, so I'm just like, wait a minute, wasn't we supposed to have Lisa or Richard on?
No, Richard will be calling in. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I think he had a little too much to drink. Maybe I should ban this
It's
from
not
YouTube.
alcohol. It's apple cider.
With foam and bubbles?
I don't know what the heck happened to this show today, guys, but at least we're having fun, right? Oh, okay. So, I'll talk about the NDAA. Everybody knows, everybody that pays attention knows that 2 years ago, NDAA was passed with a rider that allowed indefinite detention of U.S. citizens. In fact, Obama claimed that he would not sign it, and come to find out he would not sign it until it specifically applied to U.S. citizens. So that passed. This year, they reaffirmed that in the NDAA, so we can still be indefinitely detained without judge, no jury, no nothing. You just, hey, they might possibly could be a terrorist, I think, and you disappear. Okay? And that was also passed with 507 other riders.
Wow.
Okay, now I'm not going to go down the list. I don't even have it in my brain, and I don't have a computer here because I can't keep track of all that. And you guys would have to look it up. So, but 507 riders, and that was the last time I looked at it before it passed. It could have been more by the time they actually voted on it. So my question is, if we are supposed to be able to run our country on just a few pages that we call the Constitution, why in the hell do we have to pass these thousands of page-long bills that override everything and nobody can understand? You've got to devote your life. You got to become like go to Obamacare seminary or something to understand that crap. Same thing with the
Well, he is the
NDAA.
Messiah,
Well, I've got another term for it, but you've got to Obama. Anyway, I've got a treat. I've got a treat for y'all at some point. I don't have the board within reach, but there's a special thing that I've got now for that. Yeah, you guys.
There's
will
an
like
app for that?
No, it's not an app. It's Anyway,
He's got a soundboard now.
it's hardware.
Oh.
So that's just a little fun.
I had a word processor in college. Sorry. Yeah.
So anyway, my question is, at what point can we expect to change anything when they can hide whatever they want in these mountainous bills that nobody can read, not even Congress? I mean, they get this 10,000-page document that they claim that is so great.
And they can't read it.
And they vote on it without reading it.
Well, sure, because
Right.
we've got to pass it to know what's in it.
Exactly. And then with things like the NDAA, it comes up and then they pass it. And you know what? I have a hard time believing that they could read 507 riders in one night.
Well, they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't read it,
And they pass it.
and they pass it, and they don't even talk about, wait a minute, shouldn't we read what's in here? No, they just pass it carte blanche, whatever they guys want.
That's because the federal government has become the mob now.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching C-SPAN and the Senate debate during the immigration issue, and if you looked at the desks in the chamber, the bill was on the desk. It was this big, sitting on the desk of every senator in the chamber. How the hell do you know it's the same thing? How do you know what's in it?
I
You
don't care if you've got 10 years. You're not going to read through that whole thing and understand
And
it.
you can
And
have
not
your
to mention-
staff
not to mention-
read it all you want, but
Not
we
to
didn't elect
mention
the staff.
when you have that bill sitting on their desk, and the week after they got another bill that's just probably just as big,
Right.
and the bill after
Exactly.
that just as
Right.
big, and they will go, oh, you know what, you got to read that in a week,
And the staff
Yeah.
reads it, but we didn't elect the staff.
and they're going to read another one in
I
another
want
week.
I want to read.
And
I know-
I would differ. I don't think the staff actually reads it. I
No.
really don't.
No, they
I don't
can't.
think
And they
there's
can't
enough
understand
time.
all of it.
Yeah, and I mean, you've read this stuff. I've read this stuff. You know, anybody can read it. It doesn't really take a lawyer, but it is so damn dry
Right,
that it
and
takes
it's,
me
you know-
forever to read a 20-page bill.
And you know, on some of these, page 500, refer back to page 128.
Exactly.
You know, and then page 128, refer back to page 3. It's not just is it long, but it's confusing.
It's very confusing, very complex, and it's almost like they're built to keep people from understanding what's really going on. So this is my point. If we are supposed to be able to run our country on the Constitution, which you can read inside of 20 minutes, cover to cover, okay, why in the world would we allow bills? Why don't we put a 10-page limit?
You know, I gotta say, I remember that time when John Boehner became speaker. I remember one of the first few things he said when we're passing a bill from this point on. It's got to have why it's constitutional on top of the bill. Remember that?
Yeah. How
Remember
long
that?
did that last?
A day.
Well, I mean, you had the Obama administration saying every bill any law they would propose would be reviewable 5 days before it was voted upon.
Right.
That didn't happen.
That's all.
That
That's all
doesn't
talking
happen.
points,
None of
and
this
people
happened.
believe it, and
Exactly.
they vote for them. And you know what's really disappointing is it's just that, you know, we see it with political commercials. We see it with political ads and mail-ins and all the things that they do when they run for office, because super PACs get involved, and it's all a big money thing. But people need to wise up and start doing the activism part like we're doing, because if we don't, it's just going to fall on itself,
Well, you know,
like Matt keeps saying.
even if you're not an activist, at least be an informed voter. At least have an idea.
You know how many people
what
I
you're
talk
voting
to on a daily basis where I work, and I start talking to politics, because, you know, they all know I'm involved in politics and what happened as far as, you know, everything that we've been going through for the last few months as far as the Young Republicans go, and with the show. But I've questioned them on what they're informed on. What's going on with our congressmen, or what's going on with our school board, or what's going on in county commission. And a lot of people, you know, they don't know who their commissioners are. They don't know who their school board members are. They don't know who their council members are. They don't know who the mayor is. But, you know, if they see something on television that references, you know, oh, let's talk about the cocaine with the whole, you know, the congressman that happened, you know, they remember that.
Sure.
They remember the headline, but that's all they remember. They don't remember, you know, the whole thing that's going on in council a couple of weeks ago, or with the whole, what was it, the canoe thing that you guys were talking about earlier, as far as city council goes. But I mean, topics that are brought up, or issues that are brought up, or ordinances that are brought up weekly, a lot of times people just don't know, and they just follow the mail-ins, they follow what they see on television. And they rarely read the paper.
Name
This
ID.
is the people I talk to.
Name ID. That's
right,
all.
and that's
matters.
all it is. And when we talk about these monstrosity bills that you keep talking about that are 10,000 pages long or whatever, they don't pay attention to that stuff. They don't even know what's going on, unless it's they know that the healthcare bill,
And they
was
always
the
yeah.
Affordable Care Act. They know that was huge, but that's probably all they think was
They
huge.
they also named them, you know, usually the exact opposite of what they actually are. The
Yeah.
affordable health care, you know, jacks your prices up
Right.
astronomically. The
Oh, wait,
Patriot
wait.
Act, no, the Patriot Act, which is the exact opposite of patriotism, you know.
No, is Jim Roach chiming in on every time we bring up the Affordable Care Act? He always chimes in.
I
if
don't
he's on
know.
there.
I don't. I think Jim was
'Cause,
busy
you know,
this week.
I don't think he's on this week.
But every time he ever brought up that was his one issue, you know, the Affordable Care Act, and he promotes it and promotes it. But there's other issues out there besides, you know, Obamacare that are really important when it comes down to the state government. And we need to stop talking about, the Affordable Care Act is on the
Well,
national level. I'm talking about with Jim,
Yeah.
who's running for state
State
representative,
office, yeah.
right? And kind of put that mantle over there and be done with it and move on to the state issues. But at the same time, we
Dustin's breaking things. Just put it back up there. It's no big deal.
all right, but yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, sorry about the interruption. That's
Our producer has just tripped over the 12-pack of empty bottles over there in the studio.
There's really not
I hope he
that
has health.
many.
I hope he has health insurance. No.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
He's young too. He needs
I know.
Obama needs him.
It's your patriotic duty.
Pay for those other people that
That's
can't-
right.
that need it now.
Yes.
So, is my board covered? That board will be fine. That thing's built like a rock. So,
Yeah, but he worries about a microphone.
yeah, I worry about that one because it's a $10 Radio Shack microphone
But
already.
he worries about the microphone. I can get you another microphone if you need it. If it's $10, I can give it to you right now.
No. We're gonna step up, not down.
Okay.
So,
Okay, 15. Anyway, go ahead.
wow. So another thing that really irks me about these bills that we're constantly seeing, not only are they named something completely opposite for what they should be, but also they're meant for one purpose, and yet, like the NDAA, that's meant to authorize financing to the military. That's what it's for, and then it's piled on with everything else that has nothing to do with the original intent of the bill. Okay, so everything that you and I would be dead set against is buried into things that have nothing to do with it, so that, kind of in the hopes that we don't know it's there. And then once it's passed, it's too late.
Right.
So we've got to, if you remember, Ron Paul actually came out with the exact same thing, basically, that I'm promoting, is, a length limit on the bills and one subject at a time. Okay?
That's
now,
not going to happen.
It's got to. If you sit there and have that defeatist attitude that it's not going to happen, then we've already lost. We have to enforce this. And it doesn't take Congress to do it. It takes us to do it. The people have to get up and do something about it.
I think you need to use this.
Oh, trust me, that's coming. That's coming very soon. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I think you're right, especially the one topic thing. I mean, all right,
Mhm.
so if it's 20 pages, all right, fine. We can get through it.
That would be
because we've got
one
so many-
complicated 20-page
Because
bill.
we've got so many lawyers, we've got so many lawyers elected now that everything is, it takes 20 pages to get your name on a piece of paper. But yeah, it should be limited to one topic. You're voting on
One issue, yeah.
an issue. It should be restricted to that issue, not
Well-
some earmark in there for a bill that spends millions of dollars on something that hasn't got
Nothing
a
to do with
remote
it, yeah.
chance of having anything to do with the
You know,
actual topic.
I disagree, though. I don't think it has to be. I think I'm being generous with 10 pages. Take a look at the First Amendment, the very foundation of our freedoms here in the United States. All right? It's a paragraph.
Well, but shouldn't we want to compromise? Shouldn't we want to compromise?
If you say the C word again, I'm going to smack you. Okay, I'm so sick
No,
of that.
there's another C word he don't like. Conspiracy.
I'm just sick of people saying,
Compromise.
I was being a little
No.
bit. I was being a little bit sarcastic.
Yeah,
there, obviously, but
I understand that, but it's the same thing. If you don't compromise, if you think for yourself, then that word's brought up. That
Conspiracy.
I could say I could say, hey, listen, the people in Washington don't care about us; they care about getting reelected. Now that's obvious to everyone, but it's a conspiracy theory now. Okay?
What?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. That's
All right.
that is the kind of thing that gets labeled conspiracy theory. It's not these basically people that think like you and me
Mm-hmm.
and Chris. We'll lump him in here too.
Sometimes.
So
thank you.
people like us are lumped in with the so-called conspiracy theorists that think aliens have taken over Earth.
Well,
That's not making-
and it's there-
I can
it's
see
there
where
to
you're coming
discredit
from.
people.
See, with the young Republican part of I do, and they call us radicals. They call us the opposition,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure conspiracy type, and it's stupid. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you. So you're gonna stop hounding me about that
I
stupid
can't
word?
use that word.
I don't care.
All right.
I do think that
Compromise?
Wasn't compromise the word that we said that you weren't allowed to say without a $20 bill in the jar?
No, that wasn't the
Oh.
word, was it?
I think it was.
It
Let's
was.
go to the replay.
It was.
Oh, son of a...
It was.
I can't say that other word.
You said it. You said it again too. You said it twice. We're supposed to have a bowl right over here.
Yeah.
You don't
well,
remember that discussion?
Well,
they're smoking that bowl out. in Colorado.
just write an IOU for now, and
Yeah,
we'll
we'll add it up.
All right.
add it up.
What? We're running a debt on the show? We're running into debt?
You are.
Remember, we said we were going to invest every time Chris puts a $20 bill in there. You could afford a new microphone, and I can break the old one.
No. Let
I'll
him
be
say
paying for that new soundboard before the week's over.
No, you won't, because let him say it a few more times. Get about $100 in there, and I can afford one good mic.
Yeah.
And then maybe next week he'll get another $100
And you know what?
in. I'll afford a better mic over here too.
You know how rock stars always break their guitars? I can break their old microphones. That'd be fun.
Well,
All right, go ahead.
if we're not using it, guys, I'm not using that one again.
Well, I know. I mean, I know you enjoy me banging the microphone on the table.
Oh, don't we all?
All right, so
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I was going
Go
to bring
ahead.
up. I was going to bring up the fact that you want to throw this up on the screen if you want.
Dustin, go ahead
Hold
and
on,
well,
let me-
give it a second here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and click on Rick. Sorry, I got to teach him how to do this on the fly here. All right, so go ahead, Rick.
Obama bypasses Congress with executive actions on gun background checks. So how do you feel about that? That now he is bypassing, he's always been doing that before, and he's been using his executive, his executive actions and his power as president to bypass Congress, but now he wants to put more regulations on gun owners.
Well, he's done this for a while, and I mean, every president does this to a certain extent. If they can't get it through Congress and they don't think they can get away with an executive order, which he's done more than
100 million times.
any other president in history, they just use agencies, regulatory agencies like ATF or the IRS or something like that to push it through the back door. So I mean, what we're really looking at here is nothing that surprises me. Executive actions, yeah, that's a little bit more than what would have happened in the past, but really it's just an externalization of what's going on all along, and brings to bear what I've said several times on this show, that the executive branch is becoming a dictatorship. They are taking the full power of the United States government and far more. I mean, basically, guys, with NDAA, with the NSA, spying coming out, and all the ATF measures that are happening. I mean, we are far beyond the novel 1984 now. So I don't know if you guys have read that. I hope you have. It's a great novel, but when you read that book and then you go back and you look at when it was written, you get really
In
angry.
1984?
No.
I'm kidding.
No.
Way before.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
If Congress doesn't act, I will. I mean, it's a bad
Yeah,
Obama
exactly.
a bad Obama impersonation, but he said it before the election, so we should
Yeah,
all
he kind
know
of
this
sounded
was
like
gonna,
Mr. Magoo, but
Well, all right. He said it before the election. We all should have known it was coming, but he got reelected anyway.
yeah. Well, again, it's not just Obama. We've got to get past this idea that Obama is the big demon in the White House, because
He's got
he's
a-
the
well, he's got a
figurehead.
point.
Is the big demon in the White
No,
House.
No, he's got
he's
a
the
good point.
figurehead right now. The office itself, under either party, has become a dictatorship. Bush did the same things when he was in office, and the conservatives were asleep.
No,
and
I
the
wouldn't
Democrats
I wouldn't
were-
go that far as
No.
The
dictatorship.
extent of this.
with the Patriot Act. Give me a break.
That's one.
No, the Patriot Act was overreaching almost as far as Obamacare. Just in different avenues.
I'm actually thankful that Obama is doing this, because the extent of what he's doing is unprecedented, and there's no way you can argue that. It's unprecedented, the extent of executive orders under this administration than under any other, and hopefully that starts to wake people up and get them to say, hey, wait, this is not the way government is supposed to operate.
Well, it's kind of like I said last week in my look back on 2013, the year, as I claimed, the year of awakening. what's fueled that more than anything is the blatant overreach. It's
Right.
not like,
But, you know,
well,
I-
what I'll give you about Bush is it wasn't in your face. Obama's in your face with it, and that's what's waking people up the most. We've gone past the kind of sly background, build up
Right.
through, which it wasn't just Bush, it was Clinton as well.
Well,
and
I got to say quickly about one of his nominees for the Supreme Court. I can't even pronounce her name. Mayor.
Sotomayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She now said that the mandate needs to be pushed back for the health care, the Affordable Care Act, and I thought that was interesting because for her to be so pro the the ACA, and now she's saying we have to wait on this.
Well,
thing.
that's not exactly what she said.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just bringing that
She
up.
there was a religious group that petitioned for a delay based on religious reasons. In the mandates, and she granted the stay. And the reason why it was her that did that is because the Supreme Court justices are broken into areas. So she is the justice representing the western area where this was filed. So what she did was basically stay the decision and hold off until this could be reviewed by the Supreme Court as a whole before it takes effect. And it was no matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, it's hard to argue with her decision to do
Right.
that, because you're once a law becomes effective, then you're going to have to try and take it back, and that doesn't work. Too many things happen
No.
once a law takes effect. So
Well, it's interesting that she made that action.
despite the fact that she's a liberal Supreme Court
Yeah.
justice.
Yeah.
She made a legal decision that neither side.
And she didn't have to
neither
make that.
side
Well,
could
here's the
argue
thing,
with.
Chris. She didn't have to make that decision.
She didn't have to, but
No.
as a
As-
a person of law, whether you're a liberal person of law and you interpret things one way, or you're a person who really believes
No,
in
I
the
see
law
what
and,
you're saying.
and doesn't interpret at all.
And not many,
it's-
not many Supreme Court justices follow the Constitution. That's what I'm saying. For her to actually make that decision was kind of surprising. To
Yeah, I
me.
believe for her it's a practical decision.
Okay, it's all practical. then.
More than constitutional. But
Okay.
I can't get into her mind. But regardless, she made the
Well,
right
at least,
decision.
at least she's a practical person.
Well,
Right.
can I ask this quite honestly? What does it matter? Doesn't Obama just with a stroke of the pen or a wave of the imperial wand do this stuff anyway? Again,
Yeah, sure.
Dictatorially
Sure he does.
declaring his own law to I just won't enforce this. I won't enforce that.
Right.
I'll enforce that.
Right.
That's a dictator. I mean, you look at the word dictator. It means he dictates the law. Whatever he decides happens.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's what we're
absolutely.
looking at.
Now you kind of sound like my friend Victoria Jackson. The whole we got a communist in the White House. Remember
Well,
that whole song?
Yeah.
And I think
I've heard it.
I think Matt, you can take this to. I think one of the other cases that's going to come up in the Supreme Court this year. So I hope this year, and it's the whole NSA thing. Big news from Rand Paul, the lawsuit,
Yeah.
class action suit, and it's kind of the same logic.
Well,
This has to go to the courts.
Speaking of that, did you guys see that a federal judge just okayed the NSA snooping on cell phones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, forget the Constitution, forget the First Amendment. Since you bring up the NSA stuff, I mean, we've all known for several years. I've brought it up before. Apple, Microsoft, Google, most of these big tech companies were started with InQtel funds, which is, the CIA. They publicly, tell everybody that they do invest in technology that will help with intelligence. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to trace these back. The whole idea that Apple and Microsoft started in a garage is a farce. You just got to do your homework and find out that no, they were funded by the CIA, which means that the CIA is not going to put funds in there if it doesn't help them and their sister company, the NSA. And yes, I call them a company for a reason. If it doesn't help them to gather intelligence on us, who their real targets are, then why would they invest in it? So they've been doing this forever, but now that it's in the open, instead of coming down and saying, no, there is a Fourth Amendment right to not go through people's property, you know, people have the right to privacy, they just say, well, you know, yeah, we're doing it, and it's okay, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what they're basically doing is now getting us used to being spied on. You know, just yet another slow creep towards North Korea. At what point do we have to kiss the Banana Republic leader's boot?
Well, I sure hope I'm never
Yeah.
fed to a pack of hungry dogs. As what's happened. But
We still
and you
torture
said-
people down in Gitmo, so
Good.
yeah.
What?
Know,
you
Oh,
said a lot in
okay,
that.
go ahead.
That's a whole nother show, I think. But, you know, you said a lot in that.
Go for it.
And I think that what you say in part is right. I won't get into some of the other stuff about what you said, but absolutely, we've got to make sure that if we're going to have a search of somebody, that it's a constitutionally accepted search, that we've got to have cause, that we've got to have warrants, that we've got to follow the law. So I think Rand Paul's exactly right in his lawsuit. Hopefully it goes somewhere. Hopefully he's successful.
Hopefully it gets all the
We'll
way to
see.
the Supreme Court.
And
then
yeah,
they can talk about it.
absolutely. Everybody,
That's going to be huge.
everybody should sign on to it. Everybody should
No,
absolutely
I-
become a class
yeah.
action.
You know, what's going to
member
be, if
in
he's the
this.
only one that actually is his name's attached to this, and it gets to the Supreme Court, which is going to make huge news when it gets to that level. It will be sad if he's the only one to sign on to this lawsuit.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this
Well, he's
is,
not doing
this
it
is-
as a senator. He made clear to say he's doing this as a private citizen. No senator title here. He's doing this as a private citizen, and
I think that
and we
no,
all
if
should.
it's okay,
all of us private
I hear what
citizens
you're
should sign
saying.
on.
At the same time, yeah, I mean, how often do you have someone that's suing the federal government on a private level?
Right.
But at the same time, I think everyone should jump on the same boat with him because.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, he's right. He's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
And you know, it needs to be heard at the Supreme Court level. It could take years before it's at that level.
I think
But
it'll
at the
be
same
quick.
time, you think it'll be quick?
Yeah.
But the federal government.
I think it'll be
needs
years
spying.
before the Supreme Court agrees to hear it.
I think they'll hear it before the next election,
What do you think?
presidential
Okay,
election.
let's say
It's a bold prediction.
let's
Go
say
ahead.
the Supreme Court.
Mark it down.
Can I say it this 3 times? Can I say?
Can't get a word in edgewise.
Gosh,
Will you let me finish?
let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was saying, what if the Supreme Court rules in favor of Rand Paul? Then what happens? What do you think happens at that point?
Oh,
All hell breaks loose.
Well, I think that's a good. I think
Well,
that's a good
quite honestly-
question. Then what happens?
What
Does anyone
happens?
pay
What-
attention?
Wait! Because the federal government's so bloated, and they go, "Oh gosh, we can't do that anymore."
no.
What are we gonna do?
Here's what I
It
predict
changes
happens
the
at that
whole
point.
system.
No, not really. What it does at that point is they go back into saying, well, okay, we'll stop. You know, just
then they
like-
keep doing it
and they
again.
keep doing it.
Right.
Yeah, just like the old MK Ultra programs and stuff that they were doing in the intelligence agencies. They came out and said, well, they got caught, and they're like, okay, well, we stopped. And what do? They change the names, and it comes out later that they never stopped. Okay, it'll be the same song, second verse.
I want to point out something though.
And I'm not being a defeatist here. I'm saying that we've got to keep that up. Just because this decision, just because if they rule on our side in this decision, doesn't mean we stop. We still stick on their case because we know what's going to happen. That we're going to roll the name. So then we find a new name and we file suit against that. And we just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and break them down.
Just let me
break
point,
the federal government.
point
down.
out something here. It may be obvious, but do you agree with what Rand Paul's doing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What party does he represent?
He does. He is part of the Republican Party.
Oh,
I
That
rest,
is- that
I
is-
rest my case.
that
Your
is-
all
Honor.
right. You
that
can
is
go
one-
now, Chris.
Yeah, that is one part, and there are a lot of things in the Republican Party that I agree with. It's not that I disagree with everything the Republican Party stands on, at least in rhetoric. The problem is they've got great rhetoric most of the time.
I
but they don't stand with it. They don't stand on principle. They cave every single time.
Which we,
See,
which
Chris,
is why
I
we
have
need
to
more
give-
people
I-
like that.
Chris, I have to give Matt credit because at the same time, he did switch from Republican to Libertarian, but he was also on our board, the Young
Oh
Republicans.
no, I agree.
So I know that there's moments where, like, when we had an off-year election, he's like, okay, I can believe in everything that you guys stand for, but when we're in an election season, it's like, they don't stand on principle.
Yeah.
And I see
Hey,
where he's coming from.
And I think
Not every
think you-
Republican's like that.
I think you
but-
both
No,
know me
but the
well enough
party
to
in
know
general.
my goal is to get conservative people elected and kind of change the direction that we're going. But we just differ on philosophy. But
Can I ask for
He's
a
going to say they're
definition
all
of a word?
statists.
No. Can I ask for a definition of a word? What exactly does the word conservative mean? Because everybody's got a different definition.
They do.
And nobody
They
lives
do.
up to their own definition.
and you're right. And it's for me. I want to see
For him, no.
For
Understand?
me,
Okay, go ahead.
Correct. I see lower taxes, less spending, smaller government. Smaller government being the key, I think.
Okay.
Because with that comes the other stuff, and it brings about a return to constitutional government. We
Okay.
just disagree, I think, on whether it's within the party or outside of the party. But I want to bring this to. I want to
before
bring
you
this
before
to,
you switch gears real quick,
No,
Chris.
it's kind of the same.
Okay, but I
But
just
go
want to
ahead.
say quickly before you go into that or something else, but I've known Chris for a long time, and I got to say that, if he had been elected as state representative, I've had a conversation with him where I'm like, okay, if you had been elected, you'd be the kind of guy that would go into Tallahassee and actually deregulate everything.
Yeah, we'd be repealing laws.
Right, he wouldn't be
Right,
looking
right.
forward to passing a bill. He'd be sitting there going, you guys need to get behind me. We need to stop. We need to take these bills away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of guy he would have been in Tallahassee. But since, lately, and I mean, I wouldn't say lately, for a long time, we keep electing people that go in there wanting to pass bills, wanting their name attached to some kind of,
It's
And
the
this is-
feel-good factor.
The feel-good
That's
factor.
not,
and
that's
this
not
is my-
good government.
No, it's not.
This is my point, and it's not necessarily anytime you get a Republican one-on-one, if they at least have half a brain, you can have a real conversation with them.
Right.
Okay, then they'll agree with me 9 times out of 10 on just about every issue. But when it comes to the party, it's what the party does that's the problem.
That's why you
preach-
shake the boat. You rock the boat.
And
You have to-
I've done that, and it doesn't work. So now I'm doing it in a
I
different
haven't.
way.
Wait.
What?
In the REC category, when we talk about the executive committee, I haven't seen you. I mean, since I've been involved, I mean, we haven't been to the same meeting together. You told me you went to 1 or 2 meetings, but I haven't seen it where you go, I object to that.
Well, I
object
couldn't.
to that.
I couldn't because I didn't have the right to speak because I wasn't a member. But again, it comes down to rules. The problem within the reason that you will have one hell of a hard time changing the party from within is their loyalty clause. If you can't say, you know what, every single one of your candidates are crap, and therefore I'm supporting this guy, then they will just continue to put up crap
You'll be
candidates,
ostracized.
and you cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, you got
So
a
there
point.
is no way to do it from within the party. You need good
But-
candidates and you need in the Libertarian Party. If there's a Republican candidate that actually stands for what I believe, I have every right to support them over a Libertarian if I so choose. But in the Republican Party, you can't do that. If I decide to go for
Thou shalt not speak ill of the same party. That was that.
But-
but that
rule.
doesn't. That's
Listen.
not the same in the Libertarian
I
Party.
know
The
what you're
Libertarian Party
Because they don't have
understands
enough, they
if
don't
they're
have enough
doing
numbers to change.
No, it's not that. It's because
don't.
it's because that goes completely against the principles of the party. The whole
Understand.
idea
I know.
is it's not about the party.
I-
It's about the principle.
I know.
And if just because you're running on a Libertarian ticket, if you're a dumbass, then I'm going to call you out as a dumbass, and I'm going to support someone else.
Well, can I?
But we've got
Well, can
Rand
I?
Paul, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, Jeff Sessions.
And we also got this person.
We're on the
Dustin,
way.
Dustin,
We're
can you
on
throw
the
this up
way.
on Dustin? Can you throw this up on the screen real quick? And we have also got.
And
And
I'm
we
gonna-
have to really. This guy's going to be in the news probably all next.
And I'm going to be critical
2
of the
years.
Republicans in a minute. So
Okay,
go-
that might
you
be
go ahead.
perfect for this. See, Chris Christie is
We're
sent
gonna-
out a holiday card to Iowa Republicans and fuels of suspicion of running for president in 2016. I mean, it's a given.
Well,
if you're sending,
suspicion, come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
we
you're-
all
if
know
you're-
he's running.
Hold on, guys. Programming thing here. Dustin Richard will be coming on here shortly. So just reminding you. Okay. So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that it's verified all the rumors. I mean, we know that Chris Christie's running for president now. So.
Absolutely. And he will not get my vote.
Right. No, why not?
He's not the conservative that I want to see.
You're the New Jersey guy, right?
I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
Not since he's been governor, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. We got Richard Leon on the line real quick since he's on a few minutes early, but since he called in, let's go ahead and put him on there. Richard, are you there?
Hey Matt, how you doing? Chris?
Hey, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Richard.
turn that back up.
He's
but
really
not
in
that-
my head.
Not that high. Yeah, you're killing me. Go ahead and talk to us again. Sorry, we got a newbie on the board there, buddy.
You guys good?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's perfect. Good. All right. So, Richard, I hear you have a big surprise for Cape Coral. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what's going on?
Well, it's not really a surprise. I mean, I don't know if a little history real quick. In March of 2013, the Lee County Commission, the Commission Board, they passed a resolution supporting the Second Amendment of the Constitution, and I wanted to, and on your show is bring forward this month at the end of the month, January 27th. It'll be addressed at the City Council meeting at 4:30 at City Hall as a Second Amendment resolution, just as the county passed, pretty much verbatim on supporting the Second Amendment and the right
Bring
to
it
bear
down.
arms.
Bring it to the local level and the
Exactly.
city level. Yeah.
And this is the biggest part of this, guys, is it supports the state action. So there's a big fight in Tallahassee right now trying to do the same thing statewide. So the more cities and counties that we get to pass this, the more pressure it puts on Tallahassee to pass the
That'd be
same thing
amazing if
statewide.
every city can just pass this.
Well, exactly. But then the state also has to do it. So
Well, my thought process is the county has passed this, and as Cape Coral, we've already fallen under this. But I feel that if we have a strong voice and we also pass the resolution, that we be giving our state representative, Dane Eagle, a little bit more of a insight in how the people feel and what we want to see that happen in Tallahassee.
okay, we've got some questions here on the chat room about how strong the resolution is. So I'm just going to throw in there, guys, if you want to see the resolution, just go to our website and click on the Second Amendment petition. That is the resolution that's being passed with very
If I may-
slight changes.
Yeah, there are some slight changes to that. In fact, for better reference, if you go to the March, I believe it's 27th County Commissioner meeting, you'd be able to see the whole thing right there.
Okay.
Exactly. All right, Richard, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about that? And thanks so much for putting that forward. We've been
Thanks
needing that
for
a
doing
while.
what you're doing, Richard.
And
That's
don't get off the air yet. We've got some questions, I think.
Yeah. So, but is there anything else before
Well,
we
one
start
of
asking
the things
questions?
bringing this forward, and because January 27th is going to be the council meeting, we have a month. The people have a month to let their city council know that they'd like to see this resolution pass. And how do we do that? Is there's several ways. You can either call your council, you can email their council at council@capecoral.net, or you can either you can show up. Would be great at January 27th meeting. Just letting the council know in a positive manner why this would be a positive thing for Cape Coral.
I think too that they can reach out to us and we can figure out a way to have this go not just in Cape Coral and we could push it into Fort Myers
absolutely.
and into other cities.
Absolutely. We can eventually push it into other cities, but
Richard.
also, real quick, guys, eventually, before then, I would like to just to let Cape Coral know what's going on, because the average person in Cape Coral does not listen to the council meetings and stuff. We need to have, a sign holding, not so much a protest, just signs holding up saying, listen, this is going on. You need to either support it or not, but know what's going on. We really need to get the public aware of what's going on. And I think
Now, wait, can I ask you
majority of them
quickly,
would be for
how
it.
many petitions need to be signed?
No, none. He's putting this
Oh, he's
forward.
putting this on the
Yeah,
resolution.
He's putting
Okay,
this,
got it.
it's a
Got it.
resolution being put
All right.
forward.
Councilman, have you spoken to other people in the community about this, and what kind of feedback are you getting, if you have, about the ordinance or resolution?
One of the things is in putting this together is I talked to several people out there and tried to get a feel on how people felt about this. And one of the things is it's a constitutional,
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. You support the Constitution or not. There was a lot of positive feedback. In fact, I got to be able to listen to some people and was able to work through the process and making sure that the resolution was worded properly and it was.
I think you got another call there, Richard.
Yeah, I know. I got the city manager on the other line.
Oh.
Put him on.
But,
Let's put him on.
Yeah,
the
put
show.
him on the air.
No,
I'll take his call. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
put him on the
kidding.
spot.
Yeah. But we have a couple questions for you too. So
Yeah,
you got a
absolutely.
minute? All right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean that's the first. The second is as a resolution. A lot of times resolutions are for show. Do you think there's teeth to this? Do you think it does it have limited effect, or is this going to actually do something?
You're absolutely correct. Most resolutions do have limited teeth, and to be honest with you, this doesn't have much bearing on what the national level says. But what this does say, okay, and this is what's most important, is that this area, Lee County, Cape Coral, we want to see our state pass something that certifies this, that acknowledges this and acknowledges the Second Amendment, and that we don't want our rights being taken away.
I think it's excellent that you're putting this forward. It's something that we should be more than happy that you're doing it, and it represents a very important issue that is
It's a common sense issue.
United States.
It's a common sense issue.
Yeah, absolutely, and very glad you're doing it, and keep up the good work.
And
Yeah.
also, it also designates you, at least on this level, as being a constitutional councilman.
Yeah.
And I would go so far as to point out that anyone who votes against this, shows themselves to be standing against the United States
I could not.
Constitution.
I mean, honestly, in my own personal opinion, I don't understand. Why would anybody want to vote against it? That just
Well,
would
again,
blow
like
my
I
mind.
said, if someone on the council votes against this, they distinguish themselves as standing directly against the
I know
Constitution
exactly.
of the
It's
United States.
it's almost like
This is a
not
no-brainer. Yeah.
It's like voting against your freedom of speech.
It's a no-brainer. It's an 8-0 vote.
Right.
I
You might
think,
as well have it.
or should be. If it's not,
Should be,
then
yeah.
then that's a problem.
Well, for me, it's the oath of office. The first thing you do is you swear to protect the Constitution and uphold it. And this is one of those things that this is something that needs to be upheld from not just from our local level, but our state and national levels. And this is at the local level. And I preach this during the campaign. This is the local level is the most important part of government, because this is where we were able to tell the people, the higher ups, the state level, the national level, how the people really feel. And the people are upset that they're seeing some of their rights possibly being taken away, and they don't want that touched.
I agree
Absolutely.
with that. And
And,
I was
you
going
know,
to say,
I-
let me say quickly.
Yeah.
I hopefully that Richard, that you're like a beacon for other cities, because I think that this should just go across the country. I mean, I don't know if it's ever been done on a city level before.
And not only did Lee County pass this, Collier County passed this, as well as Marco Island,
Okay.
Unanimous, I believe, in Collier.
Yep.
and all of them. Yes.
Yeah. So
Hey, we're glad to have you up there, and I think that keep doing things like this and keep moving Cape Coral in the right direction.
And our listeners in the chat really seem to like what you're doing there, Richard. So there's a good sign. So thanks so much for what you're doing. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we move on?
No, I just want to stress that it's important that we get the word out, that people contact their council members through email, phone call, whatever means. We still get mail at the council. That's not outdated yet, but it's important that they contact their representative and let them know, hey, I want to see this passed. I feel if you're up there, you should believe in the Constitution, believe in the Second Amendment, and be able to protect the rights
People
of the people.
still do handwritten letters these days? I thought it was email.
Don't get letters in. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Hey, and let's get out there. January 27th, did you say, Richard?
Yeah, January 27th will be for the final input on that.
If you're a Cape Coral resident and you're listening to this show, show up for the council meeting on January 27th and let your voice be heard on this issue. Let's not give any reason for anyone on that dais to say, well, there's no support. I'm not.
I think everyone
let's
should
get
be
out
there
there and support it.
Be there for the public input. I mean, everyone should go up there and just say, "I'm for the Constitution. Thank you."
Exactly.
Exactly.
Richard, before we let you go here, buddy, I'd like to let you know the listeners are asking if you would post that on Facebook. So it might be a good idea to post the resolution on your Facebook, and we'll do the same with the
And we'll just share
Facebook.
it. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we'll share it around.
I was waiting to share this publicly, and so I wanted to bring it forth on your show. Now that we talked about it on your show, I will be putting that out there for the world to see.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks so much for breaking it here, and thanks so much for standing with the Constitution. Great to talk to you, Richard. We'll talk to you a little bit later.
Thanks for
Paul,
doing what you
Paul
do. Thank
Revere
you.
alert. Fox News alert's got nothing on us.
That's
We break the news first here on Paul Revere.
Well, and to expand on this a little bit, we decided to do the petition, and the problem with the petition was that, quite honestly, I've got my plate too full. I couldn't get out there and get the signatures and organize and stuff for it. So I approached Richard Leon, kind of hoping that this would happen, and he was very open to it, given a little time to do his research and
Sure.
understand what I was
Sure.
saying, and he was willing to put it out there. So. It's great. Richard and I don't agree on some things. He's just like anybody else. You're never going to agree on everything, but on this issue, he was 100% on board.
Especially if you're mad.
Yeah.
Are you
power to
you using the C word here? Are you going to use the C word?
No, this is not a
You
compromise.
can. You don't have to pay.
Chris.
I only-
Chris.
No, this
Chris,
is not a compromise.
You know what? We gotta catch him on this because he's gonna try to avoid using the C word and just say the C word.
No, that's okay.
He's not gonna use the word
No,
anymore.
that's okay. I'm not gonna try to corner him into paying it because he will slip.
No, he won't.
And we can kind of goad him into it to get more money out of him.
Now
So-
Matt will have a new house here.
I think we
by the
should
end of the
change.
year.
I think we should change the rules to not just using the word compromise, but
No,
using the
he's
words
gotta-
the C
no,
word.
No, because that would cut him off from talking
Well, I'm
about
learning
so much stuff.
I get so many.
homeless.
I learned this from legislators, and not just taking a bill on top of it, but it's saying since now he can say the C word and mean compromise, we could just charge him for that.
Well, yeah, but I got to give him a way out of it. It's not like
There's a loophole
There's got to be a loophole.
Are you trying to
There's
pass
gotta be a
more
loophole.
regulations?
That's right.
on
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, this is this is not compromise at all. This is something that he and I see eye to eye on. He was willing to bring forward to the council, and it's just a straight up listen. We stand with the Constitution.
You know what we should do? Actually, after all this happens, is that we should approach somebody in Fort Myers Council and see if they'll do the same thing.
Absolutely.
I should mention that
Absolutely.
right now on our chat there's a bidding war for Councilmember Leon's affections. It seems there are several patriotic people on our page that just are in love with Richard and now want him. So
What? He is
Why don't
single,
you switch over
girls.
to
He
the
is
cat?
single.
Well, this
There
is
you
true.
go.
This is true. There you go, Richard. I know you're still listening.
Yeah,
so,
and I got his number if you need it.
Maybe we'll branch off into
Match.com.
Yeah. We'll set up the councilman.
Oh, God. I think we embarrassed him enough. All right, let's move.
Oh yeah, poor Richard. No,
He's a great guy.
Yeah, no, I like Richard. Okay.
I've got another topic, and
Oh boy, here we go.
it's
One thing before we switch gears real quick, we should, because, Rick Williams is a good supporter.
Yeah,
of ours.
I
we should
plan
ask
on-
what he, what he has to say
I
about
just
it.
read here that somebody wrote, and their Ustream user 206659. So maybe a name to go with that would be good. But District 6 council member is not with us on this, and District 6 is Rick
What?
Williams.
You're
So-
kidding.
Well,
I think we need to.
wow.
I don't want to say that
Rick's
Rick's not with us, but I'd like to know where they got that information, and
And if
find
it
out
is-
why or if that's accurate.
well, maybe I'll give him a call, and within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have him on to talk about.
yeah,
it.
I think that's important because I
Yeah.
don't want to take what's on there and run with it.
Her
but-
name is Mary, actually. That's not
Okay.
Rick Williams.
No, okay.
No. I didn't say it was Rick Williams. District 6 is Rick Williams. Somebody as a user here said District 6 is
This
not
is
with
how
us.
this is how rumors start.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because people like you don't pay attention to what's being said.
So I want to know.
You
and we
know-
need to hear that from Richard.
Dustin,
so,
will you shut his microphone off? Anyways.
Okay.
Let's move. Let's switch. You
Yeah,
had something you want to say?
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go to the area that I've kind of grown up in and talk about how it's heading back to a liberal paradise, and it's New York City with Bill De Blasio coming on as the mayor of New York.
That's not even a liberal paradise. That's a communist paradise.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean-
the guy's a self-confessed communist.
This is there's so many issues in New York City.
No.
There's so many
There
things to
is.
deal with. You know, it's
I
the
never would've
biggest city in America.
Yeah, and crime is
the
on the rise. I
financial
hear.
center of the world.
Is crime on the rise in New York?
Well, not yet. It will be once De Blasio.
You don't think? Well,
starts to
no,
pass.
Bloomberg
No.
has kept the rate down, right?
Well, Giuliani started.
We're
with
not
the
talking
rate
about
going
Giuliani.
down.
He was, quite a ways back.
Bloomberg didn't change his policies when it came to crime, but De Blasio, first order of business, not dealing with the awful school system they have in New York, not dealing with the stop and frisk issue, not dealing with the debt union issue. His first order of business as mayor of New York City is to deal with the horse and buggies in Central Park. What do we think about that? I mean, 100 years of horse and buggies in New York City,
And now he's wanting
and
to ban them?
now we want to ban
Now,
handsome cabs.
Let me guess. Let me guess,
because
because I honestly I have not seen this, so this is a shot in the dark. Does it have something to do with either flatulence or dung?
it has to do with inhumane treatment of horses.
Oh, well, I was a
And,
little off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a few people that have horses, and a couple of them actually hook them up to carriages once in a while, and they tend to treat them like kings. I mean, these horses live better than a lot of humans I know.
Let me
So-
interrupt for a second.
Go ahead.
Just for a second.
I can't read this. I know you guys are laughing. I can't.
We
even read it.
we are most certainly going to branch off into PaulRevereMatch.com.
Oh God! What are they saying?
Because the other commenter, Ustream user 452839, give us your name, whether it's his name or her name. You can have Richard. I want Dustin.
My wife.
Oh, I think that's. I think that's Dustin's wife.
Hey,
So-
actually, we're kind of laughing about something up
Do you
here.
call
Dustin?
Dustin?
wants to-
Do you call her 452839, or does she have a name?
No, you can call her that. That's Christy.
Christy. All right.
Hey,
I'm-
Dustin, you want to throw this up on the screen? This kind of reminds me
That-
of
that's-
the
that's
end of
disturbing.
days.
That's
This is
disturbing.
how will the media report the Armageddon, basically. And we're looking at this and then striving to balance the BBC, make sure it gives airtime to views the radioactive mutant zombies. And
This has got to be satire.
And
Is it theonion.com? What
no,
are
I
we-
mean,
No,
and then
it's the
there's
Mail
so,
Online.
If you
Oh,
look at
God.
all this stuff, it's kind of funny. But it makes me think about how Matt's always saying it's the end of times and
I've
you know,
never said it's
Armageddon's
the
gonna
end of
Armageddon's
times.
gonna
I
happen.
never said it was Armageddon.
You're like,
People putting words
the
in my
government,
mouth.
the government's gonna collapse, and
Well,
I
that,
mean those
yeah.
things that we hear from Matt all the time. The conspiracies.
All right.
But anyway, I as soon as I clicked on that, I'm like, this reminded me of Matt. So I just thought I'd throw it up on the screen. If you want to check it out, it's from BuzzFeed.com.
I wonder what would happen if we subjected you to high levels of radiation. Would you look like that? I could probably rig the
You
microwave
can't
to
steal
try
my
it.
fire, man. I'm on a roll. All right.
Hey, at least you can pick back once in a while,
I
right?
want to get back to New York City. Can we
Okay, go back to New York
now that
City.
we're off of PaulRevereMatch.com.
Hey, maybe we can match Chris up with the zombie.
No, the zombie looked pretty.
You
cool.
know,
Yeah,
I got a problem with the undead. They vote Democrat. They vote
Wait a
Democrat.
minute. Put the zombie back up there one more time. This is the future.
radioactive
Yeah,
mutant
this
zombies.
is the future Miss Berardi, or Mrs. Berardi. Yeah, you see it? Yeah,
No,
see?
no, I mean,
isn't she lovely?
Clearly a Democrat voter. I would never date someone.
Okay, all right, we got to get back on track here. Go ahead with New York City.
That was great.
De Blasio. This is his first push. Let's deal with horse-drawn carriages in Central Park. Nothing more important in New York City right now, right? His speech when he was inaugurated, which he gave the Clintons big time airtime for this as they try to reshape themselves so that Hillary can maybe be president, although she won't even get the nomination. My prediction for that race.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear that. Why
Well,
would she not get the
because
nomination.
She was the chosen one in 2008 too, and then America got to know that they don't like her. She's not likable. Nobody likes her. She has an unfavorable
The Democrats
rating.
love her.
No, they don't. She has an unfavorable rating, even among Democrats, higher than
Where are
her
your facts?
favorable rating. Well,
No. I mean,
What are you?
I'm not disagreeing with you. My question there would be, who would you see replacing her?
I don't know. I don't know that yet. But just as in
Another-
08, just as in '08, Obama came out of left field,
Yeah.
literally left field.
Another community organizer. That's who's going to replace her.
You don't
Back up a
know.
little
I mean, it could be anybody, but I'm gonna say right now it will not be her. She will not be the nominee for the Democrats in 2016.
Okay.
Just
Sorry
a
to get you
prediction,
off track there.
I've
Go
got
ahead.
my Karnak the Great hat on.
Yeah, a little side,
Yeah.
little rabbit trail to go
Chris,
down.
we
but
can
that's
always
fine.
we
Go
can
ahead.
always make you a tin hat, or like a foiled hat.
I'll just borrow Matt's.
Oh. I love that. All right, go on. I'll make one for him one of these shows.
All right.
I love
I
this.
might even wear it.
I love this show.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't get that image out of my head now. You got the zombies, you got the pregnant pigs, and then you got the foil hat. Anyway, go ahead.
Hey, we got to have fun.
Well,
Go ahead.
His whole theme of his inauguration speech was New York City should be fairer. It should be more fair. Government by de Blasio will be run based on spite and race and envy. It's somebody's doing better than you, they're a bad person. It's somebody makes more than you, they're evil. It's a direction that he's going to take the city down. And by doing it, he's going to take the city down. New York City has been a great city for a number of years. It's been a safe city. It's been a city of opportunity. And what we're going to see is now with a liberal, and I mean very liberal. This is a guy that makes Obama look like a conservative. We're
Like
gonna
I said, he's
see-
a
Can you-
self-professed communist.
Absolutely.
Can you
He's
give
not
us some
even liberal.
examples how he'd be more liberal than Obama?
Everything he said and
What-
ran
like
on
what?
his
Like what? I
campaign.
mean, just
the
say.
the whole income redistribution, the inequality issues, the he
isn't
wants to
that-
get
wait,
rid
wait,
of
wait, wait,
freaking horses in Central Park, for God's sake.
listen-
They've been there for 100 years.
But listen, that almost sounds like Bloomberg. It doesn't sound like.
well,
actually,
Bloomberg,
Bloomberg was
he's-
more extreme than this guy. it
No,
sounds like.
no,
Bloomberg
no.
will look like a libertarian compared to this
Well,
guy.
you haven't given me any examples that makes me think.
I don't know if I
otherwise.
like that comparison. So go ahead.
I
No,
mean, he's.
I'm just-
This is going to be the biggest socialist experiment in the history of the country because it's the biggest city in the country.
Hmm.
And what we're going to see as a country, we're not going to like. And hopefully, and the reason why this can move through so quickly and his agenda can move through so quickly is that there's no opposition. New York City's council is predominantly, and by predominantly I mean like 80% Democrat.
But you know what?
They're going
in
to move his
Wisconsin,
agenda. and
in
it's-
Wisconsin,
it's-
it was extremely Democrat as well. That can always change.
but it's not changed. He's going to have at least 2 years to get his agenda
Right.
through, and there's very little chance that New York City's elected council members are going to swap and be Republicans anytime in the next
That was me. This is getting
decade.
really sensitive.
You know,
You want to
It's
back
building up.
you want to back both of their mics down just a little bit. Slider 2 and 3, just a hair. 2 and 3, not 4.
I mean,
There you go, just a hair.
this is a guy that campaigned on income inequality, on socialist programs, on changing the city, on the evil rich versus everybody else. That was his campaign, and he won overwhelmingly in a city that hasn't elected a Democrat as mayor in 15
Well, it could have
years.
been. It could have been Wiener.
He'd have been better.
Really?
He'd have provided more
Entertainment.
material for Leno. but
Porn.
he was not as liberal as De Blasio. And
Wiener wasn't.
Not even
No.
close.
Can I say Wiener one more time? Go ahead. Sorry.
What we're going to see, though, is a social experiment gone horribly wrong, and hopefully, and I hate to say this as someone who grew up going to New York all the time to the city. I lived very close. Hopefully, de Blasio's policies all get enacted, because then we'll see the true effect of socialism on a city, on a country, on a community. And the rest of the country will know that this is not a path we want to go down.
What you're saying
So
is it's a huge example of what can come. I mean, when you talk about New York City is just not any city. It's a big hub for an example for politics.
Yeah. Would you say that New York City is about to head down the path of Detroit?
Well, now
I think it could be worse.
Yeah,
it could be
that's-
worse.
I
with de
agree.
Blasio.
I agree.
And this is a city that went, having grown up in that area, you got to take this over a decades-long time frame. And before Giuliani was elected, this was a city that, I mean, if you went to New York City, Manhattan, the best part of New York City, you would not wear jewelry. You would not look up.
Mhm.
You would not look at anybody. You would walk with your hands in your pockets down the street and your wallet somewhere other than your pocket. You would get to where you were going, and hopefully you'd make it. Giuliani came in and made some big changes. Took the city in a different direction, to where that at 3 a.m. you could walk down any street in Manhattan and not worry about a damn thing. And now I'm afraid we're going to go right back to where we were and then some.
I think it's obvious now, and with a little over 10 minutes left in the show, I'm not going to get into this and describe it, but there's quite a few things that Giuliani and I would have disagreed on.
Sure.
But I have to give to him that the crime rate under Giuliani did plummet. He was
Why is that?
well.
There's a million different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, again, with 10 minutes left in the show, I'm not, like I said, we're not going to get into this. I'm just going to admit that someone who I disagree with on a lot of things did something right. It's just the same as, I think everybody knows that Rick Scott is not my favorite governor of all time. But
Would you rather have Charlie Crist?
well, again, you're comparing two demons, you get the devil either way.
I don't have the Roadrunner
wait. So you think Charlie Crist is less of a demon or equal demon as Rick Scott?
No. Charlie Crist, I do believe is worse. But
And now you're talking about this guy. What was his name? Coyote? No, I'm thinking the who's running for governor, the libertarian guy.
Wiley?
Wile Coyote.
Maybe-
That's what I was thinking.
Oh my God. So anyway, no, I again, it comes down to free market things like
Chris had
the
a
state
little-
paying companies to come in. I do not like that.
Chris was,
but
he had
go
a little
ahead.
soundbite for that.
Yeah, but we don't have it connected. Well, you know what?
Darn it.
I think it's funny. You can try it. Go ahead.
Right next to the microphone. All right. Well, I guess that's a tech.
That would be a commercial, Chris.
Yeah.
That's not. See, he's not even good at making fun of my candidates. So
on pause. Oh, good grief.
3, 2, 0. Okay, there we go. Skip the ad. Now go ahead, play your thing.
You know he wants to.
Yeah, he wants to. That's a
Never
whole
mind. I don't know where
long.
the hell we're going.
That's an
Never
hour
mind.
and a half long.
He's got a
cartoon.
he's got a
Hanna-Barbera up on his computer screen right now, and he's trying to make like a political point with Wile E. Coyote and try to play the meet from the Roadrunner.
Forget that.
And it didn't
So
work out
And
very
as
well.
and as usual, when a Republican tries to mock a libertarian, he goes down in flames.
Yeah, he crashed and burned.
Beep, 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 beep. Can we just do beep, beep? I need the cartoon.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said,
You should have that on your phone, ready to like go anytime.
It was
that
all
happens.
set up. I don't know what happened.
well, like
But
I
I-
said,
then
when
it-
a Republican tries to mock a libertarian, they usually go down
Then again,
in flames.
I had a word processor in college.
Chris, you made us
so
look bad.
maybe that's
So-
it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Again, I'm not a big fan of Rick Scott.
But he's a big fan of Wile E. Coyote.
Now, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to discuss it on the show, but
Okay.
there was a whole incident with Rick Scott
Oh,
and
was
me.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
But compared
Like
to
you did with the congressman. A couple weeks ago.
yeah. Well, anyway, people in power that abuse their power don't like it when I get upset or get a couple beers in me. So what I'm saying here is I can give him the benefit of, what's the best way to say this? He's done better than Charlie Crist would have or did do. Okay, although I don't agree with him, I'll give him that. I'll give him the attaboy of doing better than the other guy. But I'm not going to come out and say that he's doing as good as he should, because quite honestly, if you really want to see Florida take off, then implement real free market, nullify the federal regulations, and
Do
implement
the things
real
like Scott
free
Walker
market.
is doing.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's
anyway.
he's a Republican, isn't he? Anyway.
I
Well,
said similar. Yeah,
and-
I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show. But I think, again, I've said this on other shows, but we need to have a Republican governor
Republican.
running for president. When we get to senators, when we get to representatives, I don't think we're doing ourselves justice. We haven't seen if they could run anything. We haven't seen if they can control
Well, again,
anything.
though, my problem with and I understand the whole you can't get elected. You guys have heard me say it a million
Right.
times. You got to start somewhere.
Am I still
Eventually, we
on?
will build enough support to where we can elect a
Yeah,
real,
when
yes.
we're in retirement homes.
Yeah. Anyway, but the problem with Republican candidates is the Republican Party cannot support anyone else, and especially in the state of Florida, that means that they go pretty much without any competition at all. Okay, yeah, there's a primary, but again, it's devil one or devil two.
Let me say.
That's not
let me,
true.
no, wait.
That's
Let me
not
say
true.
quickly. We've had candidate forums last year and this
Mhm.
year and the year before, and we'll be doing some more. And I remember many times I asked, hey, the group, come up with questions for the candidates. Nobody came up with questions.
I did.
You did. But this is your opportunity to do that. And people say, oh, they're complaining about the candidates that they have, and they have an opportunity to ask questions, but they don't ask questions.
Well, and I'm going to say
So then I got to form the questions for a forum, which is in a room full of 300 people, and you go, hey, answer the question. And then you didn't answer the question, and you know darn well that I've said, hey, you didn't answer the question, yes
Yeah.
or no.
Well, I'm going to say that some of the most ardent libertarian candidates that were supported in the last election were Republicans. Ron Paul was a Republican. He was
Exactly.
a Republican.
And that
And
it comes down to
Gary
the fact
Johnson
that we do not
was a
have
Republican before he couldn't win the primary. So then he moved over to the Libertarian Party, which may have matched him better.
Kind of
But
sounds like
but
Charlie
he
Crist
he
switching
ran as a
independent,
Republican. He
yeah.
tried to get elected as a Republican first. So I still believe we need to make the change within the
The
party.
yeah, exactly. The
I
party
just
needs
don't
to be
think it's
wait,
possible.
the party needs to be corrected, and we all agree on that. We all know that the party needs to be.
At this point,
changed.
guys, I hate to say it, but there's a certain point when the horse has got 3 or 4 broken legs and it's suffering.
Fix
and,
the legs.
and it's got internal bleeding, and it's basically there in absolutely suffering. And there's there comes to a point where you got to put it out of its misery.
I see it every day. They're in wheelchairs.
I'm talking
You
about
know,
a
but the-
party.
Horses are.
No, in a facility, you don't put them down.
I'm
You
talking about
you
a
try to
party.
get them better.
I'm talking
And
about
you
a
make them
party,
better.
not a person.
It's
Okay,
not the same metaphor.
Yeah, but see, no, it's not.
How is it not?
No, it's not, because your people in wheelchairs are not so corrupt and unfixable. You know, yeah, they're living out their lives in relative comfort. The Republican Party has become so corrupt that it's dragging the entire country in the direction of the Democrats.
But you know, as an example locally, you know that we have tried really hard to change that, and we've made strides to do that. And you can't say that we haven't.
No, you've made strides, but it hasn't done any good.
Just give
let
up.
me
Just give up.
Let me throw,
No, no.
Let
When
me throw
you're-
some of my
hold
hands
on,
up in the
hold on. You don't give up. But when you try something over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't
No, we
work,
tried
you
things
figure
differently.
out. Well, maybe I should take a different approach. And when the party itself restricts what you can say, when you're not allowed to criticize the party. That's the issue. How are you going to change something that you're not even allowed to
But
criticize?
this is not true, Matt. This is not true. It's not true that a Republican can't. Is my mic still on?
Yeah.
Yes, your
it's
mic
not-
is fine. You're
Did you
fine.
turn me off?
No, I can.
It's,
That was mine that you were pointing out, not his.
Kara would have turned me off hours ago.
Okay.
yeah. Probably.
It's not true that a Republican can't
No.
criticize another Republican.
No,
It's-
but a
it's
Republican
true
in
as an
power of the party.
REC
Yes.
member, but you don't have to be an REC member to be a Republican.
That's right. But if you want to change the party, that's the route you have to take. If
Actually-
you're gonna
No.
do it from
Actually,
within.
actually, let me say quickly, Chris, that's not necessarily true.
That
Because
is true.
No, let me say. I mean, I'm going to be honest about this, and I have a hard time being dishonest, but I'm just going to say it. When I was, went against the executive committee and the Young Republicans and myself
Right.
spoke up for Trey Radel, there was things like the fact that there was a Christmas party within the Republican executive committee, and they left me out
Yeah,
of the
you get
email.
ostracized.
You get
All right,
ostracized.
But fine, that doesn't mean you can't do it. It
I'm
means
just-
that
I
it
know,
means
but-
that people you've criticized may not like you. It
Yeah,
doesn't
but
mean
you're
you
on.
can't
Wait.
be
Even
critical.
if you don't like me and you're on the executive board, you need to look beyond the personal stuff and do what's practical.
maybe
Yeah,
so.
but
but
Wait.
that's
Let me
corruption.
finish.
Policy.
Let me finish. Be practical. Be practical. You don't have to necessarily. There's a lot of people in the Young Republicans I don't agree with, and yet I don't sit there and try to demise them and try to break them down and
Right.
talk crap behind their back and say negative things about them. I try to uplift them. I try to be, I've always said this before. The members are higher than the party leaders. With us, I'm a party leader, but my members are higher than us or myself. But I'm just saying that overall, the way they construct things at the executive level in this county, it's a disgrace because they should have sent me an invite, and I got blind copied from another Republican group
Well, I
saying,
mean-
and I'm like, oh, that's funny, I didn't know about that.
Listen,
But
I
I'm
agree.
just saying, it's despicable.
I agree with 90% of what the Libertarian Party stands for, but we just disagree on.
That's pretty good because it's
I
a
agree
stupid
with a lot
test,
with the
a
Libertarians.
stupid
Well, all
test
right,
that I
all right, that was
said
70%
85%.
on that test. But,
What's the other
70%
30%?
on the
Wait.
test,
What's
but-
the other 30%?
defense and drugs, probably.
I agree.
For me, but
Not so
it doesn't.
much,
I disagree on the means to an end, not so much the values, and that's the issue. One thing I said earlier in the show, and we're running out of time, but I said earlier in the show I'd be critical of the Republicans a little bit, and I'm going to do that right now
Uh-oh.
because
Ooh.
there's a
First time
strategist.
for everything. No.
Not the first time. Play back the shows. You'll know that. GOP strategists are urging restraint in the upcoming debt ceiling fight. And that was an article that came out on The Hill.
Now, what would you call that? I think there's a word that describes that.
stupid.
That too. I tried to get another 20
Good
bucks.
try. Good try. But no, we need to stand firm we need to stand firm and stand for something. As Republicans, we can't put all our eggs in the Obamacare basket. We need to make sure that we're fighting on all the fronts. that we're representing lower taxes, less spending, smaller government. You don't do that by raising the debt ceiling.
Say that three
without
times
getting
fast.
some good compromises from the other side.
You know, I wanna weigh in on this real quick, and I know we got 1 minute in the official show, but if it takes me a couple minutes of overtime to do this, it's fine. The problem with the budget is overregulation. It's overreach. It's the government doing a bunch of things that it's not supposed to do in the first place.
Right.
It's the whole reason that we have an IRS and a Federal Reserve. Okay, I've described several times that the IRS, doesn't collect taxes for the government. It goes to the Federal Reserve. It's not, that doesn't run the country. So we run in a constant deficit, trillions of dollars in debt every year, further in debt now, because we constantly do things that we're not supposed to do. Obviously, the first step would be getting rid of the Federal Reserve.
And Matt, I want to say quickly that I think that all young people that I've ever met involved within the Republican Party all agree on that.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they
but the party itself doesn't.
Let me just say that a lot of the young people across the state here that I talk to all believe in many, many things the Libertarians stand for. Now, if the thing is that can we get Libertarians and young Republicans to work together to correct the crap?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing, because if we can get them to work together instead of going, oh, you're more libertarian and you cost us this election, or the young Republicans are just they're hacks or they're establishment, we're not going to work with them.
Well, and
if you can get over that crap,
Okay,
And I
right
think
there,
are libertarians all or nothing, or are they willing to work
with
together
us.
with
No,
Republicans?
the young.
on some issues?
Libertarians-
the older generation's not going to listen to us.
The Libertarians, the ones that I know, which is quite a few, see things the way I do. It's very simple. We will not compromise, period. If you guys agree as Republicans, as Democrats, as Green Party, as anybody, if you agree on this issue,
Then how are you going to fix the
then
country?
we will work with you. But you know what? Compromise doesn't
No,
fix the country now,
So
does
if
it?
we,
It's
so
not
if
about
we agree
compromise.
100% with
No.
everything that you want,
No.
then you're with us, and if
No.
not, then
You're with us
not.
before you're against
It's
us.
issue by issue. If take for instance, I take a very strong stance against war, 99%, because we haven't had a legal war since World War II. Now, I can on that particular issue, there's a lot of Democrats that I can stand shoulder to shoulder with. Now, on other issues, I'm 180 degrees from the Democrats, so
But
on that
not
issue, I
because-
can't work with them.
But not
Let me ask
because you're willing to work together, but because
because we
they,
agree.
they agree with your position, not
That's-
because you're willing to say, "Hey, let's work together. Let's get somewhere."
You know what? Yeah, I'll admit that. You know why? Because if I compromise and I say, you know what, I'll give you this much just to gain back a little. I'm still going in the wrong direction.
Matt, let
And
me
this
ask you.
is
Let
the
me ask you.
problem
Let me
for
ask you a
me
question.
with the-
If,
with that
for
direction.
example, there's young Republicans and Libertarians that agree that we need to abolish the federal government, the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, not the federal government, the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve. And we all agreed on that, and we go up there and we protest together.
Mm-hmm.
Being Libertarians and young Republicans, why is that such a bad? But
It's not a bad thing.
But you can't
there's
get there
no-
by alienating everybody.
You're not alienating everybody. You pick your battles.
No,
is
let
what
me
I'm
say
saying.
this is how I look at the Libertarians. Now, because we don't agree with them on certain other issues, they're just like, okay, well then they're just part of the problem, and they back out and they don't
on
want to talk
certain
to you.
on certain
That pisses
issues.
me off about the
on
Libertarians.
certain issues, certain people, I know several people that are great on a lot of issues, and then on certain other issues, they are part of the problem.
Well, that doesn't matter. We don't agree on that. Then why can't
Then
we
we
work?
don't
Wait,
work-
wait. Why can't we work together on things we agree on?
That's
instead of
exactly what I'm calling for.
I know you have, but I'm just
No,
calling.
I'm calling for it now,
Okay.
and that's exactly what the libertarians that I work with call for as well.
Well, then why aren't we going like, let's say, the young
Well, mainly
Republicans
because
go to
I
their
don't
meetings and their meetings come around.
mainly
because it's all or nothing.
well, no, it's not.
It always
Well,
seems
that's
that
what you
way.
just said.
Quit putting words in my mouth and let me. The reason that you have a hard time finding libertarians to work with right now, I work mainly with the Collier County libertarians. Okay.
There's none in Lee
Well,
County,
there
what you're
is a
saying.
few, but they don't do a lot yet. I'm going to try to change that. I'm going to try to get involved with them, and get them working on some things, and then we can work together on Lee County issues. Great.
I mean, this whole
But-
Second Amendment thing, I'm sure all young Republicans and libertarians are going,
This
"Let's
is
do
something
this."
we can absolutely work together on.
But now, can we, or will it be? Well, it's not an ordinance, so it's not strong.
It's not
enough.
an ordinance.
I mean, that's.
I'm the
So,
one who
I
put
mean,
this forward as a
I
resolution.
know, but my point is this not enough? Is this not going to get us there,
No.
so we don't do it at all?
No,
I
this is a step in the right direction.
Okay.
But it's not a compromise.
okay.
A step in the right direction. You don't have to go 100% of the way to get what you want. You just can't compromise and give up something to get a little bit.
Okay.
If
This
you're
is a-
if
this
you're
is an
working in the
awesome
right
way-
direction, that's fine. But I'm not going to give up freedom in one area to fight for freedom in another.
All right. Well, this is a good way to end the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before I strangle people for putting words in my mouth, okay.
It's a
Hey, you know what?
conspiracy,
Wait,
it's a
wait, wait.
conspiracy.
Hold on.
Matt, I've got a chord for you right here. Just
Okay, so guys, thanks for watching this week. Catch us next week. I'm sure we'll have lots of fun that week next week too. I won't say what I've got planned for next week. So
He's gonna break out
Dustin,
the
go
books.
ahead
He's
and
gonna break out
take
the
us
books.
out. The
That's
last
what he-
scene there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.